Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 35 of the Friday Nightmares podcast. On this episode, we are talking about Impending Death, the Final Destination franchise, because we want to. It's our show, damn it. But, anyways, I am one half of your hosting team, coming to you from Swartz Creek in the county of Genesee, in the state of Michigan, in the United States of America, in the North American continent, in the Western Hemisphere, on the planet Earth, in the Milky Way galaxy, Mr. Smokeshow Crawford. And with me, as always, is
Heather Powell coming to you from Canada. That's it.
just Canada.
From Waterdown, Ontario, Canada, the Milky Way. I know that you're a smoke show and you have an ego that comes with being a smoke show, but that was even a little over the top.
Now, that is perfect.
Smoke Show is everywhere and in everything. He's just like Tony Todd from the Final Destination franchise.
I just randomly show up.
You just randomly show up and you're like, death is coming. I've seen this before.
And so am I.
Survive. But then they all die. They're like, well, you're a coroner. I would assume that you would have seen death before. Thank you. No, I fucking love these movies. It's such like, people use the term guilty pleasure, and Final Destination films are my guilty pleasure. I love all five. I think they're great. And they're such easy watches.
Yeah, I was so excited when we decided to do this episode because, I've always been a fan of these movies. Like, there's some hit or misses with the franchise as a whole, like with like some of these sequels, but they're still.
How dare you speak that way about Final Destination?
They're still fun though. That's the thing. Like even the ones that are bad are just still fun and entertaining. Like I was telling you, like I started watching them on Monday, and I'm like, I'm just gonna watch one and then do some editing. Next thing I know, I'm on to part 3 already, and I'm going, well, I didn't do any editing. Guess I should probably do that tomorrow.
You're like, edit. Fuck that shit. We got Final Destination movies.
Right. I just jumped fucking head first into these. I'm like, I love it. And I've never watched them back to back to back like this before. So it was kind of neat because I was able to pick up other little things.
Like I've been fantasizing that I'm going to go somewhere and have a premonition and save everybody. But the problem is that then I die. So right? I kind of like, but fuck, I love these movies so much. They could make like 10, like, some people love Fast and Furious films, hence why we're at like number 10.
Yeah.
If they could make 10 fucking Final Destination films and I'd be like, take my fucking money. Like, it would just be like, I could watch them again and again and again, because even the worst one or the worst kill is still entertaining.
Yeah, and there's so many ways you could go with this franchise. Like, it's just like, it's something that can be repeated over and over and over again. Yeah, you might get bored after a little while, kind of like if you watched
much like how people feel listening to our show.
Right, exactly. But yeah, like it's still just like there's plenty of ways like to kill people, and there's plenty of ways to have these big event premonitions in the very beginning of the movies. Like we're going to talk about some in our Out of the Dark segments because we're going to kind of come up with our own ideas for one. God. And like they could just continue milking this cow forever, like if they really wanted to. And I know they're talking about a part 6, whether it's actually starting to like get the wheels rolling on it or what, but it's been talked about for a while. So I'm hoping that happens and it kind of kickstarts this franchise into high gear again.
Which would be amazingly epic. So we'll see. One can hope that will occur. But on a side note, happy Memorial Day, Scotty.
Oh, thank you.
And happy Memorial Day to all our American listeners, and happy late Victoria Day.
I was just about to say that to all our fellow Canadians.
To all our fellow Canadian listeners. Scotty is a busy Scotty this weekend. He's got a lot of things going on, but what are you doing for Memorial Day, Scotty?
Well, I am going to a cookout, Heather.
Also known as a barbecue for everyone else in the world.
And see, the reason I call it a cookout is for the fact that, a barbecue in my head is barbecue chicken, barbecued ribs, stuff with barbecue sauce. This is just like burgers, brats, hot dogs, and
did you say broads?
Brats, B-R-A-T.
Oh my god, I thought you said broads. I gotta put some broads on the barbie.
Put some broads out there, You're
like, it's like the wrong turn.
Yeah, exactly.
We do. Be careful, ladies. Don't wrong Scott, or you're gonna end up being a broad on the Barbie.
That's right. But yeah, going to be going to my cousin's house, and just because my cousin is one of my fellow Magic players, he's also going to have a table set up in the garage because all the Magic group is going to be showing up. So he's going to have a table set up in the garage in case we feel like playing Magic while we're there. We're going to have a bonfire in the back. Going to have plenty of food. Going to have some drinks. Just going to be an all-day thing, and I just can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun because every one of us, which is freaking awesome to say this, every one of us are fully vaccinated. That's going to be at this party.
Nice.
So it's even better. And yeah, nice. I'm excited. It's just going to be a lot of fun.
Well, and it's a COVID-free event.
Yeah.
COVID ain't welcome at this Memorial Day cookout.
That's right. We said, fuck you, COVID.
That's right.
And I was saying, hell, pretty much everything's going to be, well, not COVID free, but events will be happening here in Michigan very soon because they have our governor has announced on June 1st, everything will be able to open at its normal functioning hours again. Capacities will be raised. And then by July 1st, the mask mandate will be gone. And holy crap, have events started just rolling out saying, Renfest happening in July, Renfest happening August, September, October, concert. Like everything's just like, we're open, let's go crazy.
Which is like, concerning in a way, but also hopeful. We just got news today. Now, Canada is caught up to the United States on first dose vaccines.
Nice.
We just got caught up to you guys. We got shipments in. There was a delay in us getting shipments. And I found out this afternoon that every single Canadian will now have their second shot if they choose by the end of the summer. So before my appointment was in September, for my second shot, I just went and got my COVID shot in between our recording, actually. Yeah. I went and got the Pfizer, not the old Johnson & Johnson, unfortunately, but I'm going to get that later. You know what I'm saying? High five. But yeah, so probably I would say July maybe for me, because now we're letting obviously mature folks, so people over the age of 70 are going to be able to go in and book their second appointment, which is they've had it first and it will go back down the line. So that's really exciting. And we are almost at 55% vaccinated, at least one dose. And I think it's like something like 15% second dose in Ontario.
Yeah, so I think in Michigan, we're at 59%, and I think 46% with the second dose.
Nice. Yeah, it's tough, right? There are some issues between our two countries in getting vaccines, but that doesn't stand in the way of Scott and I's friendship. No. And there were other issues with cancellations. Canada had some cancellations of vaccines being canceled that were supposed to be sent to us.
Oh.
And yeah, that was back earlier this year, though. And also there was the whole AstraZeneca blood clot scandal shit, and people are, anyway, we're not here to just talk about that. The bottom line is things are improving, and it's looking very likely that Scotty will be able to come up here for his birthday in September or October. Scotty will hopefully, as things continue to go, our countries are talking about reopening the border officially. Yes. Scott will be able to come up here, and we'll go to Niagara Falls, hopefully meet Christian and Vince from TGIF, the Friday Fan podcast, and also some of my friends. And we'll be going out and having a good time. So
getting fucking lit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll say, well, I mean,
yeah, that's what we'll be doing. It's true.
Well, I'll say, because most people might not know, but this is also going to be my 40th birthday. So I'm going to be celebrating in style. Yeah.
Old grandpa. Are you sure you're going to be able to stay out past 10, Scott?
I stay up later than you most of the time. You kidding me?
Please. That's just because there's not much going on here, son. You'll learn.
Please.
You'll learn.
Oh, I've already learned like how you and I can roll together. We've done it.
Oh yeah, we'll be fine. I look forward. This is how excited my friends are to meet Scott. So I was talking with some of my girlfriends the other night, and I said, yeah, he's going to come up hopefully for his birthday. I want to take him on a ghost tour in downtown Hamilton, which is just like Waterdown is part of Hamilton, not that anyone cares, but that's, a sub-community. And we have ghost tours, and then there's a club I like to go to called Absence, which is it's for people like our age, old fucking fogies. Like the age group is usually about 25 to 45, so it's a really good vibe. It's a fucking rundown bar. I'm not gonna lie, Scott. Like it looks like it's fucking haunted, and it's definitely a front for drugs. But you don't care when you're there. Absence, yeah.
Oh shit! The pictures you sent me. That looks fancy compared to the shit that I've gone to.
Okay,
in
if you
Flint.
think this is fancy, then the stuff in Flint is fucking scary because this would be
Duh.
yeah. Like anyway, they have drag shows, they have DJs, they have lots of live shit. So Scott and I are going to be going that Friday night getting fucked. So we'll probably go live on Friday Nightmares at some point, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
And then my friends want to come and meet Scotty. They're all really excited to meet him. And then Saturday, the plan is to go to Niagara Falls and go through Nightmares. And I haven't gone through it because I'm scared I'm going to pee my pants. So like Scott's going to see how scary this is because it's scary. One of the scarier haunted houses in North America. So we'll see if we like get our strength up to do it because I don't really want to. I was kind of hoping the border should never open so I didn't have to.
Well, I mean, we could always bow out and go to a different one.
Yeah, but then you're going to tell everybody.
No, it won't.
Yes, you will.
Well, we've already talked about this, and like you were worried with my back that it might be too much a certain.
Well,
place.
yeah, because there is parts where you got to crawl, and Scott's used to being on his knees, but I don't know if he's going to want to be on his knees. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? For that long of a time. And hopefully, Christian doesn't know this yet, but Christian, if you're listening, I'm hoping that we can meet up with Scott on the Saturday night. Christian, Luciani, and I from Exploding Heads live very close to each other. So I'm hoping that I can convince him to come out and go to a bar or something, and maybe Vince can join us and we can all get drunk. And
yeah, come on.
Then I'll send Scott home on hungover on Sunday and wish him the best of luck. Good luck, Scott.
Come on, Christian. You know you want to hang out with the Smoke Show. It's a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah, once in a lifetime. Like the Milky Way is where Scott lives, for fuck's sake. He's so important. You can't resist the Scotty. So, and it'll be really awesome. Dave C, I know you listen to this podcast. I will let you know the weekend we're going to Niagara Falls. And if you are able to meet us in Niagara Falls, which is just across from Buffalo, we should all get a drink or something together. That would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, that would be fucking sweet.
I will tell Dave C when we're going and to see if he would like to do that. Maybe we could get Christian to come out. Can you imagine? But not Brandon, because Brandon doesn't leave his house. So
Brandon will be sleeping.
Brandon will be sleeping. He'll be napping somewhere. We could tell him too, but I think he would show up.
Yeah, he'd forget what's going on and go back to sleep.
Yeah, and that's all he would do. So so hopefully things are totally like picking up now and movie theater releases are coming out. Aren't you planning to go see a new 2021 soon?
Yeah, I'm hoping sometime this weekend, since one thing we didn't mention is I have a 4-day weekend because of the holiday.
Doesn't everyone know that? Oh, yeah, because today's Fridays. I took the afternoon off and Scott took the afternoon off too.
Yep, I had the whole day off because normally we just get a 3-day weekend for the holiday, at least with my company. But I had a week's worth of paid vacation left I had to use up. So I have to use it up by the middle of July. So I was like, screw it. I'll just kind of take some extended weekends and use them towards the holidays. And since I got these extra time off, I'm planning on going hopefully sometime tomorrow to go see A Quiet Place 2.
And I wonder if it's going to be a quiet movie.
It might.
The first one was.
I hope so.
Right?
Because that was an awesome experience in the theater.
Were you by yourself in the theater?
Nope, it was me, my buddy Don, and a couple of his coworkers. We went like at a late night recording of it. And yeah, we got there and the theater was pretty freaking packed. It was like a late night Sunday and the theater was packed. And yeah, it was dead silent in the theater, which is awesome. Like the movie I thought was good, not great, but I thought it was good because I had some issues with the main story itself, but the experience was incredible and definitely makes me want to see the second one.
Well, that's very exciting, Scotty. I'm so happy that you get to go to movie theaters, Scott.
Yeah, I can tell you're happy.
I'm really, as a friend, I'm not at all going to push you towards the scary people in the haunted house. No. Never going to be it. I'll be like, that's for fucking August. Or no, that's for fucking May, going to movie theaters.
Heather, I'm just living my best life. Isn't that what you always tell me?
You are. I'm actually really proud of you. You're going out to a bar tonight.
Yep.
You're like going out with other friends on Saturday. You're going out and seeing friends on Sunday. Like it was hard to figure out a time to record with Scotty. I was like, so when are you around? He's like, well, I'm doing this and doing that. I'm like, fuck, like all I have is this one little hike planned on Saturday afternoon and I got to work around Smokeshow schedule all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's usually the other way around.
It usually is, but now what is it? The apprentice has become the mentor or whatever it is. You are definitely the leader of the pack now. So that's something to be proud of. But I am leading in 2021 watches.
Yes, you are. You totally are.
Because poor Scotty can't watch movies at work. How many are you up to now?
I hit my 90th one last night.
Oh man, I'm at 99 because I got
Awesome.
99 problems, but watching
And
movies ain't
Smoke
one.
Show ain't one.
I said watching movies ain't one. You are still very much my problem. Let's make this
Oh.
very clear. You are definitely my problem. So, but you're a good problem to have, Scott.
I'll take that.
You're a good problem to have. Have you had your friend over to watch any movies as of late?
No. It's just been they've been busy, and I've been just like pretty much knocking these movies out whenever I had the chance, like free time.
Well, this friend listens to this podcast regularly.
Yep.
So I want to shout out to this friend and thank this individual for listening and always commenting back on the Scott of shit we say. And also going back into our library and reminding Scott of shit we say.
Yes.
And we don't remember because we don't remember.
Well, because I mean, yeah, I think we've been doing this for like a year and 3 months now.
We've been doing this the dawn of time.
Yeah, we've been doing it forever. But no, I mean, 35 episodes in, we tend to forget what we said when we said it and all that. There's a lot that we've done. I mean, I think it's over like 100 hours worth of like us talking over the like last year and a half. It's crazy.
Can you imagine how much of that we could break down to me making fun of you?
Oh God, probably at least like 70 hours of it.
Well, and that's the quality, right? And then there's
Exactly.
Gary Hill, who feels that you need to be defended, who we will bring on to a show. He will either be on our Legion Patreon special, which has been released onto the Patreon network, is our Legion Patreon special with Jay Murph from Kill the Cast on Top 5 Uncomfortable Movies. That will be eventually released on our regular feed for now. But eventually we'll just be doing Patreon only for those special events.
Yes, but yeah, we will definitely have to have Gary on because, yep, he's my boy. Likes to stand up for me when Heather's being a bully.
Which is like a lot.
Always gets my It's Always Sunny references that Heather just shakes her head at.
It's better than Fireball. It's better than that. And it's better than, hey guys, did you know one time I almost went role playing magic?
You're the one that likes to bring this up.
That. Pardon?
I said, you're the one that brings this up all the time, though, not me.
I know. I do it just to be a shithead.
I know.
I don't even know why you put up with me.
Because I like the abuse.
Yeah. Like, does your friend who listens to this podcast pull you aside and be like, is there something you need to talk about, Scott?
No, I think she actually gets a kick out of you picking on me.
She thinks I'm funny.
Yes.
She has good taste.
Well,
and she also didn't like Killer Prom. So I still feel really bad about that.
That was hilarious.
Oh, man, what a shitty movie. Anyway, we were supposed to like move into our 2021 films, so let's do so.
All right.
Did you watch this first film, or was it just me?
Nope, this is one that's on my list because you and Brandon both told me I should check it out, but haven't got around to it yet.
Life partner, Brandon. We're super committed, Brandon and I.
Fire in those loins.
There's a lot of passion for sure between the two of us. So Oxygen is a movie that was released in 2021. It's a 100-minute runtime. It is available on the Netflix. A lot of people will probably argue that this is more science fiction-y based. A woman wakes up in a cryogenic chamber with no recollection of how she got there and must find a way out before she runs out of air. So very much a environmental or survivalist horror kind of film / sci-fi. The horror piece is probably more in the anticipation of running out of air and being in a condensed area. Probably people argue with me back and forth. This is not horror. I don't really fucking care. Well, I put it on my list.
It sounds like it fits the line of that survival horror topic that we always like to talk about.
It does. And I have no interest in arguing what is horror or not with people. I find the argument meaningless. So I think it's horror. I think it falls enough in the genre. It's a Netflix film. It's very well acted. But it does feel it's a 100-minute runtime. Like you definitely do feel like you're watching this movie for 100 minutes. It has a 3.1 rating on Letterboxd. As I said, you can find it on Netflix. It is a French film, I believe.
Which makes sense with the director because the director is Alexandra Aja, who did the Hills Have Eyes remake and High Tension and all that.
It's very well directed, very well acted, like good solid film. Do I recommend it? I think if you like survival horror, you like sci-fi, I think this will be something that you'll find very interesting.
Yeah, this is one that I definitely want to check out.
All right, the next one I think you have seen.
I sure have. So the next one is The Djinn, and this is a pretty new release. Like I think it just came out over the last couple of weeks, but it's about a mute boy who is trapped in his apartment with a sinister monster when he makes a wish to fulfill his heart's greatest desire. I thought this movie definitely had a come play vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I thought this was a really well done film. Like the acting in it, especially from the little boy, is incredible. Because I would say 2/3 of this movie, there is no dialogue, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just because this boy is mute, so like he just doesn't speak. But like you can see like by his facial expressions and his physical acting, like, and he's a little kid too. He's not like teenager. He might be like young teens. But like yeah, it had some very creepy moments with the monster or the Djinn, but yeah, I think this was a very good watch, and I highly recommend everybody check this one out.
This movie is my number 2, and it will be on my top
Oh,
10.
damn.
Yeah, I love this movie. I first of all, it's a low budget film done well,
Yes.
done smartly. Was able to do scares without over the top practical effects. They used their budget well. The acting was good, and it built a sense of dread in a simple scenery. And I thought it was better than Come Play. I love Come
Wow.
Play, but I actually think it's better than Come Play. It just hit all the marks for me. The visual is the only thing beating this film right now for me personally. I loved it. I strongly recommend it if you enjoyed Come Play. If you enjoy anything with kids in horror, you'll like this film. The ending I thought was very Grimm brother-ish.
Yes.
So you can find this film on Google Play, Vudu, Microsoft Store, YouTube, DirecTV, and I think it's worth whatever rental you pay for this. $3.99, $5.99. If you like what I just discussed, kids in horror, Come Play. If you like the Grimm brother themes of ending, for those of you who are familiar with the Grimm brothers, you will enjoy this story. Now it is low budget. It is filmed a little bit darker. It is in some darker scenes, but I don't think it's filmed to the point that it takes away from the film. Personally, for me, nothing but respect for this film. Very, very valued watch to me.
Yep, agreed. Because I think I haven't really placed it in my list yet, but I think this will be in my top 10.
Yeah, it's just such a high quality film.
Yeah,
for
I
a low
really
budget.
dug this.
It will get an award too. This may get an award for best low budget film. Like, it was just super well done. Though the other one that's competing with that is the Ranch, was another really well done film. And that might be in top 20. I don't know if that will make top 10. But
that's Death Ranch, I think.
Oh, sorry, Death Ranch. Yeah.
Yeah,
the one about the African American individuals that are fighting off the Ku Klux Klan members.
Yep.
It was very, very well done. So the next film, I only put it on here because I couldn't remember if we had talked about it or not.
We have not. So I can actually I don't remember a lot about it, so I won't be able to say too much except for my just thoughts in general.
Okay, so I'll introduce it and I'll remember what I had to say, and then you can chime in if you need to. Sator.
I think it's Sator.
This is a Shudder exclusive right now. It is a 85-minute runtime. Basically, it's secluded horror about a broken family that is dealing with a supernatural entity as well as declining health issues, kind of mixed with the supernatural entity. It reminded me a lot of the one last year, The Dark and the Wicked. Theme-wise, not like it's the same movie, but I felt like there were some overarching themes that were similar. I wasn't a huge fan of The Dark and the Wicked last year. I respected the film. I thought it was a well-made film. It just didn't speak the Heather language. And that's not to take away from the film. It's just my own personal preference.
Right.
I feel very similar towards this film. I think this film is extremely well made. I think the acting is out of this world. I think the plot is relatively, and the story is relatively good. It just didn't connect with me. I found it a little too slow. I found the whole entity mixed with the declining health conditions a little too, it's been done before.
Like too on the nose.
Yeah, I felt like it was like someone watched The Dark and the Wicked and watched The Lodge and watched other well-known slow burn films and was like, I can make a slow burn film, and did that personally. If you like this film and this is your number one of the year, that is a no hit towards you. Just because I didn't enjoy it doesn't mean it's a good film. I can recognize the cinematography behind it. I can recognize the acting behind it, the directing behind it. It just wasn't a plot that grabbed me. For example, our good friend Mark Nato gave it 4 stars. Mark Nato has a specific taste. So if your taste is similar to Mark Nato, you're going to really dig this film. Mark Nato from the Rotten Roundtable and the Horrorcast. Thoughts for you, Scotty?
I thought this movie was boring as shit. Like you said, well made, well acted, but the story was just not there for me. It felt like, because you said it was like an 88-minute runtime or whatever, it felt like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it was too art housey for me as well.
Yeah.
Because it did just do a lot of like, ooh, look at these artistic shots, and ooh, look at this, and like there was no point in them except for just to say, oh, that's a beautiful shot. However, I did like the look of the creature, the monster, but you don't get much of that till like the almost very end, if I'm remembering correctly. And
I didn't dig it that much, so I don't believe the monster was in it right till the end.
Yeah, because like I seen this probably like 2 months ago or something like that, and I told you and Brandon, like, because I knew Brandon was kind of excited for this, and I went, you guys aren't going to like this. It's way too art house. And like, yep, I knew Brandon especially was going to be disappointed in that, and I think he pretty much had the same opinions as us. But like, yeah, this was just not for me. Like, I just found it extremely boring, beautifully made, but nothing
well acted, well directed. Like,
yeah.
This isn't a bad film. It's going to depend. I think if you really like films with slow burn, like if you really like The Lodge, I'm honestly going to compare it to The Lodge more than The Dark and the Wicked, because I think more people like The Dark and the Wicked because I think more stuff happens in it. But I found this was a very slow, like, plot development, very heavy with like this relationship within the family and why they're living off the grid, kind like it was just very, it took a lot to get into, so you got to be real focused watching this one. I apologize, I said it was a Shudder exclusive. It is available on Shudder, but it's also available on YouTube, Google Play, both Canada and United States. So if you're going to rent this, if you like what we talked about, then I would say $3.99, $5.99 is fine. I personally wouldn't have wanted to pay that, but I can see how other people will enjoy this. So
yep, like to these certain types of people that we know that like these type of films, I'd say it's worth the rental for them, like whatever the price. But like to the ones that are more similar in how we feel, I'd say if you're interested in it, watch it on Shudder, just because you don't have to pay for it. But just wasn't for me.
It's a mediocre film.
Yes.
Now the next one is The Scary House, also known as The Strange House. And this is available on Netflix. It is a 100-minute runtime. It reminds me of the kind of theme that The Wretched was. Was The Wretched the one about the witch last year? Yeah. It's very family-friendly horror. This is very much like your haunted house story. Kids move into a haunted house. They build some friendships. They have to figure out the mystery of what happened. It's an easy watch, though. For a Netflix movie, you can't go wrong. If you're paying for Netflix anyway and you want to put on something, maybe you have a child at home who is starting to get into horror, maybe they're a little young, this I would say you could easily show them and they're not going to have nightmares over. There's a kind of a happy, cheesy ending that concludes the movie. The acting's decent enough. It is subtitled, so you can get dubs. There's a dub version on Netflix as well, and there's also a subtitled version. Overall, no criticism. Like, fun movie. Do I think it will be my personal top 20 material? No. But would I rank it out of the 99 movies that I've seen in the top 40? Absolutely. Like, I think it's worth a view. I think it's entertaining, and it's a free watch on Netflix. I don't think you can go wrong, and it's great family-friendly horror.
Yeah, this is one that I started last night, got about a half hour in, and then went to bed. But yeah, I'm liking what I've watched so far, and I didn't realize that it was supposed to be subtitled until like about 15 minutes in. I'm going, wait, the dubbing on this sounds a bit silly. Now that I'm like listening, I'm going, okay, yep. Then I looked, I'm like, oh, yep, it's supposed to be German and subtitled. Okay.
Yeah.
But
it's a decent German film. Like, I'll be honest, like compared to other German films we've seen,
right?
This one is like, pretty good. I think it's very relaxing, and the 100 minutes goes by really quickly. It's an easy, palatable film, good for like your average horror fan or maybe someone just getting into horror. So the next one that we have on the list here is the Army of the Dead, which is also a Netflix movie that was directed by no other than Zack Snyder, who's also like the Marvel guy, isn't he?
He is DC.
DC, sorry, all the Marvel people are.
Well, I was saying, like, I mean, like, his greatest achievement would be, for me, The Watchmen.
Oh, okay. So he did The Watchmen. Okay, Cool. You saw this too. So what did you think?
Sure did. I pretty much went in going, all right, the plot of this sounds like Ocean's 11 meets zombies. That was pretty much right.
Yeah,
But
you were.
and I went in going, this is just going to be some over the top CGI, action heavy, just dumb fun. I didn't expect it to be mind blowing and be in my top 10 or anything like that. It was exactly what I wanted. Just something fun and entertaining to watch because I thought everybody in this movie just had fun. And like the CGI that's used for a lot of the zombies, especially Zombie Tiger, looked freaking sweet. Very predictable, but that did not stop this from being just a fun, entertaining film. It does run at 2.5 hours, but it goes by quickly. It did not feel like 2.5 hours to me at all. Like I just had so much fun with this. Tim and I, my roommate, we watched it together and we just had a blast. And like finding out afterwards the whole fact that one of the actors, Tig Notaro, who plays the helicopter pilot, wasn't even actually on screen like with the actors and was CGI edited into the film later just blows my mind.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. I felt like this when I sat down. I'm like 2.5 hours. Okay, Zack Snyder. Now, even though he's not the writer, he's the director. I was like, how the fuck is this movie going to be 2.5 hours about zombies? And it was great. If you know Dave Bautista from WWE, and you know what to expect from a wrestler turned actor, I think your expectations will be fine going into this. You're right, Scott. Very predictable, but very over the top. Like very much like the explosions you would want to see, the fight scenes you would want to see. Like there's a scene in the casino where they're like kicking ass of the zombies, and it's great. Like it's entertaining. And if you want to be entertained, this is a movie that you will enjoy. I thought it did do something different for the zombie genre. I think it was interesting that they used Las Vegas. I think the characters, you knew who was going to live, who was going to die. And I don't think the ending was overly shocking to anybody. But, walking into this, like I've seen some really nasty reviews and I'm like, dude, like, not every film needs to be Saint Maud, okay? Like, just turn off your brain and have a good time with this action/horror flick.
Right. Like, this ain't going to be top 10 material, but it's just for at least for me.
People it may be, right?
Yeah, say like I know Tim Davis has in his top 10 right now.
Yeah, and that's cool.
Yeah, I'll say like, but you know what? Like, yeah, I have fun with this. It's not going to be in my personal top 10, but like at the same time, like it's still fun. Like I just had a blast with it, and I like Dave Bautista as an actor. Like he's not the greatest, but he brings a certain charm to the screen that just it makes it entertaining.
And for the role he was assigned to, like for the role of what he was doing. And yeah, you can pull out multiple plot holes from this movie.
Yes.
For fuck's sakes, it's about a group of people going into like zombie-filled Las Vegas. And I thought the opening sequence was funny. I thought that really set the stage for the film. Honestly, I think you would be at a miss if you skipped this one this year.
Yeah.
I think this is a really fun, easy watch. And it does exactly what it's supposed to be. And it may get a shout out from me this year. It may win an award. Who knows? Because I think it's a decent film. And I think it's definitely a movie that people should watch. I can tell you, out of all the movies I've watched this year, it's definitely in the top 30 when it comes to entertaining.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Out of almost 100 movies, this is definitely an entertaining film. And it's a free watch on Netflix. So if you're paying for Netflix or stealing someone else's Netflix, you have nothing to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this is just fun. Like that's the best way I can describe this film. Fun. You will have fun with it.
We all have a good time here on Friday Nightmares.
We know how to have a good time.
So this movie, the next one is called The Retreat. And I was avoiding this film because I thought it looked like a big piece of poo-poo.
And wasn't there another film called The Retreat? No, that was The Resort.
The Resort, yes. Yeah. We're just going on a lot of vacations here.
Right.
And this is an 82-minute runtime. And no, Sander, I don't like this movie just because it was Canadian. Just so you know, Sander, I didn't know that this was Canadian until I got into the film and I saw that it was funded for Tele Ontario, which isn't a lot of money. So the fact that they did anything with the money that Tele Ontario gave them is impressive, Sander Kane.
I have to say, though, I just love the fact that Xander Kane called you out of that because he knows your love for Canadian films as well.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely.
I just love that he called you out on it, though.
He did. Sander better wait till those borders open. Atlanta's not that far, Sander. But I honestly, I think because I had such low expectations going into this film and I expected so little, I was impressed with what I got out of it. Personally, for me. Now, I know the funding that they would have had for this film. So I know it wasn't much. These were all Canadian actors, and some of them hadn't done a lot up to this point. There was one person that people probably recognized that was in this film, but most people probably didn't know who the rest of them were. I knew who the one girl was. I recognized her in a couple of things, the blonde. But the rest of them haven't been in that much. So it's a basic film about survival horror. It reminded me a little bit of the same speed of Spiral from last year, about being different and people having a problem with you being different.
Yep.
So they go up to this retreat that is in, a northern place to wherever they're supposed to be living. And they are hunted, more or less. Now, there are scenes that aren't filmed the best because it's dark. Probably a lot of that had to do with budget constraints and trying to keep it darker so the special effects would pull off more of what you're doing. But I was very impressed with the acting of the film. I was very impressed with the message behind the film. I thought for a film funded through Tele Ontario, and probably because I know more about that funding structure in Canadian media, it was pretty fucking good. So it's a low budget film. It will probably be in my top 20 because of the message behind it, how much I enjoyed the acting, and for the special effects that you did see. And I will acknowledge that there wasn't a lot, but for what you did see, it was very good.
Especially in the third act.
Oh yeah, you saw it, right?
Yep.
Okay, so what did you think? Sorry, here I am going off. I didn't realize you watched it.
Yeah, I told you I watched it a couple days ago.
I forgot, Scott. Yeah, a lot of things happened.
I know. That's why I'm not going to pick on you too much about it. But yeah, because you recommended this because you were just like praising it, and you said to me especially, you should watch this because it definitely has like a relationship-based story in it. The relationship I really liked it, but it wasn't the main focus of the film, so it's not like the relationship horror I love. But I have to say for the lower budget style film, this was pretty good. Like, I mean, it was paint by numbers with the whole like synopsis plot, except for just like the meaning behind why they're doing this. That was fucked up. But yeah, I thought the acting was all pretty good. Like, yeah, I wish some of the scenes were definitely too dark, but for low budget, you got to do what you can. But yeah, all in all, I still found this enjoyable, and I was on the edge of my seat a lot of times because it had some very tense moments to it.
I thought it was more relationship-y than you did because everything did revolve around the commitment issue.
Right. Well, I mean, it did, but like I'd say about over half the film really like. I don't want to get into spoilers, but they're separated. So it really doesn't focus on that then.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. It has a 3.1 rating on Letterboxd. It is available through Google, YouTube, both Canada and United States, Amazon Video in the United States, and DirecTV. I think if you enjoy survival horror and you enjoy relationship themed films, if you saw Spiral from last year and you maybe are passionate about certain issues, this may like Spiral from 2020, this may be a good watch for you. I definitely say a $3.99 rental is worth it. For some people, it's not going to be that, and that's absolutely fine. I really like seeing stuff come out of that's good out of Canada. And I will be honest, I think we get overshadowed by the United States a lot of the times. Yeah. And we have very talented people that live in this country and that can produce some excellent horror films.
Well, the sad part
films in general, right?
Yeah, and the sad part is though, I think a lot like the way you guys get overshadowed a lot is because you guys produce a lot of the really good movies. However, no one thinks it's Canadian. Everyone thinks it's American because our countries are very similar.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the actors are have the North American accents and all that stuff. Yeah. So it's like it's very similar in that way. So I think that's another reason you guys get overshadowed. But yeah, Canada produces a lot of great films, especially on the low budget to video on demand stuff like that's been coming out over the last couple of years. There's been some incredible Canadian films.
Absolutely. Like one that we talked about before, the zombie one, Pontypool.
Yes. I fucking love that movie.
And that doesn't pretend not to be Canadian. That actually is like OPP and makes tons of Canadian content in it. Speaking of that, we should probably do a little bit of a promo. Yes. Coming up for our next Legion Patreon special, we will be having on the gentleman from TGIF, the Friday Fan Podcast, Christian and Vince, and we're going to be talking about the top 5 each of us will be giving a list of the top 5 Canadian horror films.
Yep, and you'll be hearing a dumb American talk about his top 5 Canadian films.
No, you're not dumb. But yeah, so we're looking forward to that. I think a lot of people may be surprised of what's a Canadian film or stuff that's been filmed in Canada or whatnot. But I did think this was a good movie. It's no Pontypool. I think Pontypool sits in a category all on its own accord.
Yeah, I'll say it's a tier on its own, like way up there.
Pontypool is a very solid fucking film, and someone could argue the original Black Christmas. Depends where you sit on that fence on that. But I think that this is a solid, low budget film. I think they did a pretty good job of this. It also reminds me a little bit of the low budget film that we watched towards the end of last year about the woman that was hunting people in the forest. Yes. It was a real low budget one about hikers. Uncorked picked it up, I think.
Oh, did they really?
I think there was an Uncorked, not this one, but Uncorked picked up that other one that we saw last year, right? So yeah, if you like that
was
kind of
last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know, right?
I thought that was a lot
of movies.
Yeah.
Right. So if you like survivor horror, this may be your jam. Now, the next one, I don't think Scott's had a chance to watch it.
I watched this last night.
Oh boy, Scotty. Oh, you're right. You did tell me that. Now I remember.
Yeah, because I was trying to catch up to you and Brandon. Damn it.
So I'll let you introduce this one then.
All right. So this is the one that we actually kind of jokingly picked on a little bit a few episodes back in our Out of the Dark segment. Because we thought it was going to be a total The Craft ripoff and just like be basic bitch. And that is called Seance. Well, it's directed by Simon Barrett, which I recognize that director's name. So I know he's done some big stuff. I just cannot remember what it was. But I have to say...
VHS and VHS 2.
Yes. Okay. So, yep.
The good VHSs.
Yeah, right. We don't talk about viral.
Yeah.
But all I have to say is, boy, were we wrong about thinking this was just going to be basic bitch witchcraft horror. This is far from that. I'll give the synopsis. At the prestigious Fairfield Academy, an elite boarding school for girls, 6 friends jokingly engage in a late-night ritual calling forth the spirit of a dead former student who reportedly haunts the halls. Now, I'll leave it at that, because there's a little bit more, but I'm just going to leave it at that. It is well done. Like, all these female actors in this did a great job. It kept me guessing till the very end. Like, I didn't see, like, where it was going. And like the twist reveal at the end, I'm going, oh shit, all right, interesting. And I have to say, like, way gorier than I expected. Like, way gorier.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I just thought this was a all around damn good film. Like, really good. Like, maybe top 20 material for me. Like, I really enjoyed it.
100%. I think this was a really good film. Definitely is up for award for me for top protagonist. I really got behind the protagonist in this film from the beginning. There's an opening scene where I was like, yeah, girl. Like, I just fucking dug the shit out of her. Yeah. Definitely not what I thought this was going to be. I thought this was going to be The Craft too.
Yep,
it is not that. It is something completely different. There's some great twists in it. It's a really, really well done film. I would definitely recommend watching it this year. I think, Dave Z, if you're listening, I think you may enjoy this film.
Yes, ignore the cover art, because I think the cover art looks very blah and basic.
Yeah, the cover art, I don't even know why they chose it, but it's a decent film. It's a 92-minute runtime. It is available on Google Play for both Canada and United States, Vudu, Microsoft Store, and YouTube. And it's worth, I would say, $3.99 to $5.99 rental for sure.
Yep, I absolutely agree. And Dave, I know you say my opinion don't matter because I rate things way too high. No, I'm kidding. I love you, buddy. But no, I just wanted to say, like, I do think you will get a kick out of this movie, like, because I know your taste fairly well, and I think you will. I think this would probably sit at least a 7 or an 8 out of 10 for you.
Yeah, I think absolutely you're right, Scott. It's a very well-made film. And it goes a way that you didn't think it was going to go, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I was very shocked on how, like, where this went. I'm just stuttering over my own words because I was just impressed by it. But this next one,
says
Heather,
something when it takes Scott's breath away.
It does.
Take my breath away. That's Scott when he sings to horror movies.
Every breath you take.
So I was finishing up my workday yesterday, and I wanted to watch something fluffy and, didn't require a lot of thinking. So I watched Great White 2021. It is a 91 minute runtime. Basically, it's about a group of people that recreate the film Open Water 2 or 3. So they go out on this, water plane, and they land at an island, and they realize that there's been a shark attack, and they leave to go get help and to alert that, people have died because of this shark attack. And then chaos ensues, and it becomes like a survival horror film. If you like shark films, maybe really not good shark films, you'll probably like this movie. The special effects were okay at times with the shark and other times really shitty. It is an Aussie movie. I can see that Tim Davis watched it and gave it 2 stars. Probably none of those were because it's Australian, because he hates Australian films.
No, it's none of that.
If you don't know who we're talking about a great podcast called Horror for Dummies that you can check out with 2 Aussies that go over their love of Aussie films and other such things. But Tim is not a fan.
And you can hear Tim's love of Jaws pretty much like my love of Gremlins.
Right. Which, I could imagine he was pretty pissed off when he saw this film here. I'll have to listen to what he has to say.
Yeah, I'll be curious.
Yeah, right. So, I think it will be, I think if you're looking for something to just watch that is, a fluffy, shark, predictable paint by numbers film, this is a fine film to watch. I enjoyed it because I like watching movies like this when it gets warm out and we start looking at the summertime. I like watching themed beach movies, so this fit right up there for me. Do I think it's a go-to? Probably not. It is available as a screener because that's how we watched it. I assume it will be available for rent. I would say probably no more than $1.99, and with the caveat that you really gotta like shark films, maybe not so good shark films.
And this may be one I'll watch then, because I do love my silly dumb shark movies, and whether they're good or bad, I at least give them a watch, especially like you said, around this time of year.
Right. It's just I like themes.
Same.
I think themes, So yeah, so that's it. Oh, and I watched all the boys from County Hell.
Oh yeah.
And I watched that this morning. I enjoyed that. Scott talked about it a couple of weeks ago, so I won't go over it too much. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I would recommend that one from Shudder as well.
Yeah, a lot of fun. And I'll also, because we talked about this one like last episode or whatever, but I did watch Unearthed.
Oh, nice.
Adrienne Barbeau, and great low budget.
Yeah, you
movie.
Liked it? Yeah, I figured that would be up your alley. Yeah,
thought it was great.
Awesome. There you guys go. Just listen to Scott and I. You listen to Scott and I, and everything will be fine. That's all you got to do.
We will show you the ways.
We will show you the ways. So we're going to get into our older films. I know I just have my 2 here, but Scotty, did you want to talk about older films or?
I had no older films besides what we watched for prep for one of our guest spots, and one of them's on here. So I'll just figure, and I've seen the other one, so I figured just talk about both these with you.
Okay, sounds good. So I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, 1986 by Mr. Toby Hooper.
So much coke.
This continues to add to my my lack of understanding of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise.
I can see why.
And not understanding what the fuck is happening. This one started off pretty solid. I dug the DJ Stretch. I thought that was a great character. I enjoyed Dennis Hopper's character. And I enjoyed, what's his name? Bill Moseley plays him.
Oh, Chop Top.
Chop Top. I didn't get what Leatherface was supposed to be in this. They made him almost like this goofy, lovable, misunderstood,
and horny
guy. I got where he was, but it just shifts so much then when you watch like the more recent Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies and like the origin ones where he's not like I feel like who Leatherface is like 18 different personalities. No one's really stuck with a set personality for him.
No, not like. Well, I mean, the one thing that this movie should like the poster art especially should just kind of scream at you, okay, this movie is just bananas, and that is how they recreate the Breakfast Club on their poster for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. That's like the VHS cover and everything like that. So it's like right there, it's just showing you we're not taking this seriously. And this movie, yeah, I swear everybody was on cocaine, and I swear Dennis Hopper came on set. They're like, hey, Dennis Hopper, we need you to say these lines. He's going, nah, but that's what we wanted to give you. Nah, I'm going to say what I want to say, which is tear it all down, tear it all down. And they're just like, all right, well, we're going to film him in his own separate movie, and then we'll splice him into the movie somehow, because this man's just gone off the fucking rails.
Like I liked his character at first, but then when Stretch brings him the proof that he needs, he doesn't want it. He doesn't want that tape recording. I was like, what the fuck? No, play it on the show, and then
Bring these guys out.
and then Chop Top and her have that real awkward conversation about music.
Yep, him and his Sonny Bono wig.
Right. And then the sexualized chainsaw scene. Like, I was kind of digging it all till the last act where I was like, what the fuck is going on with this movie? Toby Hooper, dude. Yeah, you know, rock on. It was just such a different flavor from the first movie.
Yeah. Oh, it's so different.
Like, I didn't even understand. Like, I don't know why they called it Chainsaw Massacre 2. They should have just been like, you know, like Chainsaw Killer. And it would have been like, it could have been a completely different film. Besides Leatherface being in it, what was really the connection? And even the Leatherface was so different from the original Leatherface.
Well, and then there is a connection with Chop Top, because Chop Top is the twin brother of the crazy hitchhiker in the first movie.
Well, yeah, and Dennis Hopper's son is supposed to be the kid that was in the wheelchair, but those aren't real connections. They're not built on anything.
No.
The movies don't even flow together.
No, not at all.
Final Destination floats together better than these fucking films do, and it's different people, except for in the second one, than all those other movies.
Yeah. But I do have to say, I'm gonna give a shout out here, but if you want to hear some like really in-depth thoughts on this movie, check out Cinema Psyops, because they just hit their 5-year anniversary, and they are covering each movie in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise in chronological order, like by when it was released. And they just released part 2 last week, and part 3 is coming out this week. And Court and Matt go into some great detail about these films and brought in some knowledge I didn't even think about, like about some of the stuff that went behind the scenes. And like, but yeah, listen to the Cinema Psyops. They did a great job covering this.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody covered it well, because it's a hard film to watch. Entertaining though, I'll give it credit for that.
It's just so bananas. Like, it's crazy.
Much like the next film we're going to talk about by Toby Hooper, Eaten Alive, 1976.
Oh man,
we did this for the Cemetery Gates podcast, which is one of our favorite podcasts to listen to, with Sandra Kane and Android Virus. And I enjoyed it. It's basically about a killer crocodile that lives as a pet in this rundown hotel, you know, for the lack of, you know, any other plot line. It's basically that.
Yeah.
And Robert Englund's in it, a young Robert Englund.
Yep. I'm Buck and I'm here to fuck.
I liked Buck a lot. I thought Buck was hilarious.
Well, I'll say he kind of has a character turn, because he's like a complete asshole, but then by the end you're like, oh no, don't die.
Oh, Buck. Oh, you didn't get the fuck. Oh, Buck.
Right, Buck. Buck.
The fuck. Buck. It was fine. I thought it was an interesting 1976 film. I think it definitely was like, I feel like in the 70s they're all just like, fuck, throw this film together and we'll see what happens. Like,
yeah, and I was gonna say, since it's Toby Hooper, I think this is his second film right after Texas Chainsaw.
No, what a follow-up, right?
Yeah, and then I think he did Poltergeist and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. But it's kind of funny because you can kind of see, like, in Eaten Alive, it's a blend of both Texas Chainsaw 1 and Texas Chainsaw 2. Like, it's got some of that dirty gringiness of the first one, and then the batshit craziness of the second one.
This reminds me of a Grindhouse film.
Yes, it absolutely is a Grindhouse film.
Right, like, and I appreciated it for what it was. I definitely did not find it boring. I did find it interesting. But it's hard to follow. Like, I find films like this, you're like, what? Okay, why is someone acting like that? Why is that random line happening? Why is this randomly happening? And you're not quite sure who your main characters are going to be, because there's just so many random fucking characters to show up. Like, it's like having a party and like you sent out the invitation to 2 people or 10 people, and then 50 fucking people show up and you're like, what? Like, it's like that.
Right. And I was going to say, especially when you were talking about this crazy characters, like, why are they saying this, acting like this? The family, like the husband that shows up with his daughter and his wife, and just some of the things that he says, you're going, where the fuck is this coming from? What are you doing? Why is any of this happening?
Like,
it's so nuts.
Right. It's just so fucking weird.
But yeah, I like you. I had fun with it though, but it was just nuts.
Yeah. So that was my 2 older films that Scott has also seen, because Scott doesn't watch a lot of movies anymore.
Unfortunately not.
You know, he has to work hard. And also he's a smoke show. And as a smoke show, there's a lot of smoke show commitments.
True. I mean,
right.
when you're smoking like me, just
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
where there's smoke, there's an extinguisher to put my ass out.
And then we'll break into what we've been listening to. Scott, did you don't have a podcast listed here? I
I
assume
I do have one.
about.
I have one. I just forgot. I just didn't put it on here.
Would you like to talk about it?
Of course. That's what I say. I was gonna. You want me to start then?
Yes, you go ahead.
All right. So the podcast I was going to bring to this episode is a new collaboration, or might be an old collaboration that's come back, but it's with Ricky Morgan and Court Psyops, and it's called Mental Rental. And it is on the Legion Patreon, and they're going to be doing this as a once a month show on the Legion Patreon page. So hopefully a little more incentive to get people to join. This is a commentary style episode where they just watch different movies and go in depth with like the quality of the film, the transitions of the film, because they do like the Blu-rays, and like they'll talk about what release they're watching and what version of it and this and that. The first episode they released on Patreon is over the film Rolling Thunder, which Heather and I had graciously had the chance to watch because of Android
Rolling
Virus on It's
Thunder.
Not Horror, which brought the whole
Oh,
show
man.
to a depressive state to where we just did nothing but comedies after that.
Nope.
But yeah, Ricky Morgan and Court Psyop, you know, they are huge fans of this era of film and genre, and they just do an amazing job covering it. And I just wanted to bring it to the table to mention because, you know, this is the type of content we're getting for Legion Patreon now, and it's great. We're gonna have all this new stuff to listen to, and I just love these collaborations that are coming up now.
And we are many.
We are many.
So mine is more from the Parcast network. And they keep coming up with new shows, and I just keep fucking downloading them. But this one is called Superstitions, and it's a half an hour episodes, and it goes over why certain things have become a superstition. So the first episode I listened to is on black cats, and
nice.
how black cats have been basically manipulated, or their image has been used by religious groups as something evil. That it actually at one time was seen as something positive, and it's been shifted by, I'm sure you can guess which faith, to
Christianity,
right, to represent something
or
negative.
Catholicism, I should say.
Yes. So it's a really good short half an hour story. So they do a little bit of background, then they tell kind of like a fable or a fairy tale about a situation with that superstition, and then they close it off with what's currently happening in regarding to that. So talking about like how black cats are the hardest cats to be adopted in shelters and stuff like that,
which is so sad.
It is sad, but I think people are beginning to understand that that doesn't actually mean anything, right? So yeah, it's really cool. I really enjoy it. If you're looking for something that's short, simple to listen to, and you want to maybe learn more about why superstitions exist and also how they lead to different like things in pop culture. So we have a lot of horror movies that are based on superstitions, and even some stuff in Final Destination, some of the deaths are based on superstitions. So
yeah,
you know, there's a lot of those connections there. So I recommend listening to this podcast.
Nice. Yeah, this might be something I'll have to give a listen to at some point, because I do like the whole idea of like the basis of superstitions.
Baby, superstition.
I was gonna start busting out that,
wall.
like, because I was gonna bust out that song at some point, but I was like, superstitions, superstitious. I can fit it in.
You're like, I could do this because it's me and I'm a Smokeshow.
And it's based, and I just think of the movie The Thing, because that movie plays, or that song plays in it. Very superstitious.
You and John Carpenter and fucking Gremlins. I swear to God.
If John Carpenter made a Gremlins movie,
I know, you'd be like, it's fine because John Carpenter made it.
Oh no, I am a critic of John Carpenter's for some films. Well, I'll say that because I love, but him and Stuart Gordon have probably the most filmography that I love.
Is that right? Which one of John Carpenter's do you not like?
I am not a fan of The Invisible Man, or Memoirs of the Invisible Man, Ghosts of Mars, The Ward. Vampires is fun, but meh, like not really great.
No.
There's a few others in between, like that have grown on me, but they're still not like high quality watermark films.
I hear that. Well, I guess we should probably move into our main topic soon, but we should probably hear a promo from one of our friends at the Legion Podcast Network. So after these messages, we'll be right back.
Cha-cha.
This is a test of the emergency podcasting system. Listen to the Psychosemantic Podcast. Politics, movies, and political movies. Find us on Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, legionpodcasts.com. The Psychosemantic Podcast.
And welcome back. So, as you know from the opening of our episode, our main topic today is predicting death, premonitions, and other such things. Scott, do you believe in premonitions?
Kind of, yeah. Like I
Have
feel
you ever had a
there's like
premonition?
I've had like just like these gut feelings before, and sometimes they've come true.
I've been able to do this creepy thing where I predicted order of death.
Oh,
Yeah. I've been at funerals and seen other loved ones there and predicted you'll die next.
oh wow.
Like, yeah. Not and it just sometimes just comes over me like this person will be next to go. Now, mind you, it's typically been older people. I've also known when someone's in like a life or death situation and like I'll be like they'll make it out and they make it out. So, that could just be a lucky guess. That could just be because someone's older and looking at health issues and guessing how things are going to go down. Or it could be deeper than that, which
I'll
is
say like
where
probably mine might be a little deeper than that at some points, because there's been times where like I just get this bad feeling like I probably shouldn't go do this today because I just have this feeling that something's not going to go correctly.
Mhm.
And well, that one of those times was got in a car wreck.
Really?
Yeah, like and
Yeah,
just
sometimes you have that feeling like today's not a good day. Something's going to happen. You go out and do
Yep.
something, something happens. And now you could argue that could be you making that happen because you're
Yeah.
already in the negative, thought or process, or that it was, a sequence of events that you had no control over, which is really what the Final Destination franchise is all about.
right, which
Right?
makes it kind of
So-
fun.
Mhm. So, of course, like always, we like to do some research and talk about, some articles on that. So, exploring premonitions of death and their meaning. So, this is an article that talks all about what people do when they explore their premonitions. So, a premonition of death doesn't necessarily mean you're going to die. A premonition may be a warning designed to prevent an untimely death, like in Final Destination. Not everyone who has a premonition of death is a psychic or a medium. This type of premonition can happen to anybody. How often do people have death premonitions actually die? People who have a premonition of their own death don't necessarily die. However, people who are in an accident or other types of trauma also have such premonitions about their death. Study a patient premonition of death. So the National Center for Biotechnological Information conducted a survey of 302 trauma members about patient premonitions of death. These were accounts of the patients expressing a feeling or sensation of death. The result revealed that these patients were most likely to die. Other results of survey of trauma health workers included 50% of trauma patients expressed a premonition of death. 45% stated patients can sense the outcome of their situation. 50% said that people who have premonitions have a higher mortality rate. And 57% believe patients affect outcomes through the patient willpower and desire to live. So if I think I'm going to die, I'm going to die. If I think I'm going to live, I'm going to live. Can you have a premonition of your own death? There are instances where people have premonitions of their own death. There is a type of deep knowing within. So David Bloom's eerie email for his final death. So the last email that David Bloom wrote to his wife hours before he died made people wonder if he had a premonition of his death. Bloom's last email was read at his funeral. Bloom died of a pulmonary embolism from an undetected dislodged deep vein, believed to have been caused from riding in cramped military vehicles. The Reverend Father Matthew McGinnis spoke of Bloom's confiding in him about his death on the night before he traveled with the military for Kuwait City. Reverend Guinness said Bloom spoke of how he was prepared for his own death. Very, very Final Destination.
Yeah, very.
Premonitions of death without knowing who. There are people who have premonitions of death without knowing who. You may have a premonition of tragic events, but not know where or when or how or why the events happen. This sounds just like Final Destination, right?
It really does.
Right? This was the case of 9/11. Many who perished in the 9/11 attacks had premonitions of their death, as did those who survived by acting on their death premonitions. So being late for work that day. We've all heard the stories. I was supposed to be at the World Trade Center, but then my babysitter was sick, or then my kid was sick, or I was stuck in traffic, or whatever the case may be, right?
Right.
9/11 premonitions of death. So sometime after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, it was reported that many 9/11 victims had premonitions of their impending death. Many would-be victims heeded the warnings they received and didn't go to work or board the plane that day. In her book, Messages, Sign, Visits, and Premonitions from Loved Ones Lost on 9/11, Bonnie McNeely tells the story of 9/11 victims, would-be victims, family, and friends who had death premonitions. Bonnie's husband, Edmund, died in the attack, and she writes that he had some kind of premonition or several premonitions over the course of a year. Many people reveal several premonitions and feeling that they felt, or either they felt or their loved ones did. So this happened to me when I got sick. I always knew I was going to be sick and hospitalized one day. Always.
Really?
Yeah. I knew that something was going to happen in my 30s and that I was going to be, basically on my deathbed. And I did almost die. My potassium levels dropped so low that when I was in the ER and they rushed me into the cardiac unit, they said, "We don't know how your heart's beating right now. It's like,
that's crazy.
There's no reason you should be alive." And they're injecting me with potassium. They're feeding me potassium, anything they can to get my potassium levels up. I'm in the cardiac unit with a bunch of old men and me.
Wow.
And eventually the nurse comes around and goes, "Do you work out?" And I said, "Yeah, I run, I do stuff." She's like, "That's what kept your heart going."
No shit.
Because my heart was strong enough to keep beating with low levels of potassium. It was at 2.9. You're supposed to be in serious danger after 3.1.
That's like, because I remember you telling me the story when we first
Yeah.
met, but wow, I didn't know
Yeah.
about that part.
And I always knew that would happen. I always knew I would get sick. And I felt like once I crossed past that, I stopped worrying about it. It's like I always knew I'd be married and divorced. Always knew that. I knew I would never be widowed. I knew I would be married and divorced. As a young kid,
That's
I
crazy.
knew that. And my parents are happily married, been married for like almost 50 years.
Right.
So it's just really interesting that sometimes, and now you could argue maybe I made that happen, but I don't think I made myself get celiac.
No.
You could argue with my divorces, perhaps that was, choices I made of who I married and, whatever. But like, you can't control whether you get celiac disease or not, and whether that gets misdiagnosed or not. I had a lot of misdiagnosis and other shit too. So it's just really interesting. So the more I read this, I do believe there's some kind of relevancy to it. So then there's also the strange feeling that someone is going to die. If you have a sudden strange feeling someone is going to die, but you don't know who, there's very little information for you to act on. Yet again, Final Destination.
Yeah.
This kind of premonition feels cruel, and the only thing you can do is wait. This really is like in the second one. I found that she didn't have a lot of information. Other ones, I feel like they had more information, but in the second one, she was like, because she didn't know any of those people.
No.
In the other ones, they all kind of knew each other.
Yep. I'll say it except for part 4.
No, part 4 they did. You had 4 friends and they all sat each other and they all interacted.
Right. Oh,
like
yeah, those ones did. But then,
stuff,
the rest of the people, they didn't know.
Right. I don't know. We'll get into debate later. I think number 2 was really the only true one where they
number 2 is definitely the main one.
So where are we? Oh, mediate to explore further. You can meditate to explore further. So you can meditate to explore your premonitions further. Meditation is a more focal process that reconnects you to the spiritual world. Once there, you can ask for clarification from a guide or your higher self. Premonitions of symbolic death. It's important to realize that not all premonitions death are meant to be interpreted as literal death. It could be a symbolic death, such as a death to your current way of life. It could be the death of a career or a relationship. If you're on a spiritual path and are striving to evolve spiritually, the dream could be symbolic of death of your spiritual being being reborn into a higher level of spirituality. And then finally, examining possible symbols of death premonition. If you have a dream of dying or an actual premonition of your death, take a breath, calm down. Examine various areas of your life to determine if anything is coming to an end, such as graduation from college, an upcoming marriage, a career change, a move to another city. These are all life-altering events that could be a symbol of death. Premonition of death and what it means. There are many possibilities for the premonition of death. It can be a symbolic form, or it can be a prediction warning that you can act on. The end. So that kind of left it kind of cliffhangery. But I think that's a really interesting article, and we'll show the link to that article as well. But it kind of just sums up our fascination with, knowing what's going to happen or wanting to know your death, because death is something that comes for all of us. And Tony Todd says that in one
sure
of the
does.
movies. And he's right. It's unavoidable. And, there's this belief that if you cheat it, then you're scot-free. But there's eventually the end of the line, which is another phrase that is used in the third movie. There's a lot of real cliches and some really great lines that go into the Final Destination franchise. So,
oh, for sure.
Let's dive in. Scotty,
all right.
Kick us off.
So the very first Final Destination was released March 17th in 2000. Alex Browning is amongst a group of high school students readying themselves for a trip to Europe, France. When he suddenly has a premonition that their airplane will crash, he screams to warn the others, but instead he is thrown off of the plane. This one, I'm trying to remember. I think I've seen this shortly after it came out on DVD, VHS, whatever you want to call it, back in the day. And yeah, this got me and made me fall in love with this type of idea for a film because, yeah, the whole paranoia of a plane just exploding in midair or crashing is a general fear that a lot of people have of flying.
You have that fear?
I used to, but I've gotten over it. Even though I've never flown, I've already gotten over it because I know it's a lot safer than what it's presented as in movies like this. But yeah, I really do love the idea, and you get this in every one of the films, but I love the idea of even though he saves everybody, all his friends and people that are around him, it's the event still happens, but what I like is you still get to see what would have happened if him and all of his friends stayed on board, and you get to witness all these horrific deaths and kind of cool scenarios, but at the same time kind of haunting images, as we'll get into with some of the later films. But I really like the idea of this whole premonition, and because they all these kind of work off of base of a inner fear for some person or another, and I think it's just really cool. And then the whole concept I thought was very unique, especially for the time of death has a design and will come for you after, if you have somehow screwed up his plans, death itself will come for you and everyone else again. He will just come full circle and come back for you. I love that idea.
I think it's funny that you used a male pronoun.
I'll say I didn't even realize it, but yeah.
Right. And I think I would use a male pronoun too. I think it's because we see women as life givers.
Yes.
Right. And I just think that's interesting. Right. But I think, and it's presented as a male. We do believe that it's the aggressor, right? Which is death in this. And even though death is unavoidable, we see a bunch of little, what do they call them? Easter eggs leading up to Alex actually going on the plane, of little things happening, the flight board acting all fucked up. When they're boarding the plane, he switches seats, and the vision that he has of what happens. And there's a gentleman that obviously has a cerebral palsy that's sitting in the front seat of the plane. And I really felt for that character. I know that character doesn't even have a main part, but I thought it would be terrifying enough to be aware of what's going on. I can't imagine how it would be feeling to have absolutely no control and then not being able to explain to somebody what's happening.
Right.
And taking off, taxiing is what they call it, is the most dangerous part of flying. I remember I was flying with my ex-husband out of Vegas years ago, and it was really windy and the plane had a hard time getting up. So it was doing this thing where it was kind of jolting a little bit. And he looks out, he's like, man, look at those wings. The plane's having a hard time. And if you've seen this fucking movie and you know anything about flying, you don't want to be looking out the window at the wing. Okay.
No.
And I fucking lost it on him. And I was like, you need to stop, because after that point, I've now had a fear of taxiing and landing. It now makes me nervous. Because it was that feeling, and we got it, and they got it up just fine. Plane crashes are not normal; they don't happen frequently. But it was scary. I was scared. And I think that this film does a really good job of playing on that fear. And I think Carter's reaction, who is the gentleman that Devon Sawa character gets into the fight with, is very realistic of how you would probably feel after living. You're mad at this kid because you're like, I don't owe you anything, I control my life, blah 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 blah, because there's survival guilt that's presented very well by all of these characters, particularly the teacher.
Oh, absolutely. Because she sends, because it was a co-teacher thing, like, and she sends the one that speaks French, because like I was saying, they're going to France, and she says they both get off the plane when this all happens, and she says one of us has to be on with the students that are still there. You go ahead because you speak French pretty fluently, and which made sense why she would send him back.
Of
But
course.
but then she felt guilty because she pretty much sent him to his death. That could have been her, but she ended up replacing him with someone else.
Right. And I think it's very normal that he, like, when Devon Sawa's character freaks out and hits Billy Hitchcock on his way out, which I find really funny because I can't think of anything other than Stifler every time I see him.
Yeah, he just I think of Stifler every time I see him, but in this film, he is literally everybody's punching bag. That poor guy.
He really is, right?
Carter, you dick.
Oh my gosh. And Devon Sawa's character Alex yells out, the plane's gonna blow up, and of course the FBI agents, like, this is before September 11th. This is a year before that happened, right? And they're like, so why did you say there was a bomb on the plane? I don't know if they could have got away with making that movie.
No, this movie
came a year later.
Yeah, this movie probably would have been shelved and pushed back multiple years and then got released.
Right. So, and that makes sense that the FBI would be questioning him. Like, where in the fifth one, it's like, all right, dude, what are you doing? Obviously, this guy had nothing to do with what happened.
Right.
This, you kind of, get a point, but the acting of the FBI agents is painful, but that's a whole nother side thing. But I really do enjoy the way that they play on the survivor's guilt, how one person will thank them. Like one person, like Clear Rivers, like, thank you, I'm alive because of you. The other guy's mad at him. The teacher doesn't even want to be around him because it creeps him out. Billy's all like, can you predict what's going to happen? Am I going to pass my driver's license?
Right. Am I going to hook up with this chick?
Right. And then poor Todd loses his brother George because he gets off the plane with Alex.
Yeah, and they were twin brothers.
Right. And the dad has resentment towards Alex, which all this makes sense. This is what would happen, if your child died and there's only 8 people that survived on a flight of probably like 140 people or whatever it was supposed to be, or more. Maybe it was more people on the plane. I can't remember the number of people on the plane now. It was a Boeing 747, so that's a big fucking plane.
Right.
Like I thought that they captured all that really good. Like, we haven't even got to the premonitions of death yet. I think they just set up the scene for survivor's guilt and, Alex having these visions and then people being afraid of him afterwards because of what it meant. Like, I think they set it up really well in this movie.
I completely agree. Like, because you even see like everyone like has a different reaction to Alex. And then you see Alex, who has like probably the most survivor's guilt of them all, which like just becomes obsessive on why this plane did what it did and why he had this premonition, which that is one thing I did want to bring up, like, as a question. Did these, like in all these movies, were they already somehow empathic or psychically linked before? Because how did everyone, like each person, get a premonition? Like, how, like, were they already born with these like innate abilities to have this premonition? Or was just this something that death just kind of accidentally let slip, like, oh, giving you a vision of what's going to happen?
Well, I think if we looked at the article we just read, it could argue that different people have that ability to sense that. It depends on how open you are. Obviously, Alex was quote unquote open to it.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. Which is how I think it's a fair argument. And I get you're trying to look for a logical thing that connects all of them. That would have been interesting if they went with that.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is that it was written, all the movies were written by different people. And James Wan only directed the first one, the third one, I think.
Oh, it wasn't James Wan.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh, written? You written
it? No, directed by James Wan.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That wasn't who showed up when I looked it up earlier. Oh, James Wong. I thought you said James Wan from the Conjuring universe.
No, Wong.
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry, my bad. I misunderstood you.
Right. So he directed a couple of them.
Yep, he did the first and the third one, and then there was the guy that did the second one, also directed the fourth one, which huge letdown. But and then part 5 was somebody completely different.
Right. So I think that maybe that would have been better connected if there was more of that kind of connection throughout it. But there wasn't, and that's okay. That happens. So when we look at Final Destination, what deaths stand out to you?
The one that always stood out to me is Todd's death, because that one feels like the most realistic and uncomfortable to watch. Just watching someone like slip, fall, and like pretty much just hang himself, because the camera pretty much like focuses right on his face, and it shows like his eyes going bloodshot and like his blood vessels popping and everything when he like really starts.
Yeah, it's a very realistic what it would look like to hang, right?
Yeah, like that one was like probably the one that really stood out for me.
And I can't remember, what was Alex's premonition of that? What did he see?
That was also one thing I was going to bring up, but the premonition for this one was he didn't see it coming, like per se, but a magazine he was reading got shredded by the fan, and Todd's name got cut out of the paper. And
so we saw that it was Todd's name was that he was going to be next.
Yes.
And then the dad thinks it's Alex's fault that Todd felt so guilty over George's death that he hung himself. And Alex is like, then why was he? I thought this was smart writing, actually, because he says, then why was he wanting to go to the ball game with me next week? Now we all know that people, if they're serious killing themselves, they don't lead it on, right? But I thought that was an interesting tie-in. And then that he was there, and then that him and Clear had this like connection to each other, and that they could now sense death as well, that she could feel what he feels, and that dark, eerie sense is constantly always around them. I thought that was really clever. The death that I think is the most interesting in this one is the teachers, because it's so drawn out.
Yeah, and it's the most violent one of all of them.
Yeah, and I feel like it's because it was just, and I don't know why, that one particularly got dragged out, because Billy's death is quick. He gets decapitated. Yeah. Like it's like bam. And like the scene leading up to it where you think Carter is going to die is much longer and more intense with the train. And, you know, he's like, I control my destiny, you know, definitely trying to challenge what Alex has said to him. And then the car doesn't start. Right. Yeah. And I don't know if you've ever played Trickin' on the railroad tracks before.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, okay. Of course, neither have I. But
that's like an adrenaline junkie thing right there. Hell no. I ain't fucking with the train.
Right. Absolutely not a good decision.
Well, it explains a lot about you, because I know you do have that adrenaline rush.
I do. It's true. But yeah, I thought like her death particularly, and how he kind of senses it, and he's always there, and the FBI guys are like, we think you're up to something. Though, like, he goes in and he pulls a knife out of her. Like, what a dumb move, right? Like,
yeah, like, and he leaves a blood-stained footprint behind. Like,
right?
The thing, like, everyone's death in this seems very realistic, except for hers seems a little too just over the top, because it's like one thing after another leads to her dying, and like some of the things I'm going, okay, you're drinking out of a cup that's spilling liquor on the floor. You would think, 'cause she's walking forward with it, so it's like leaking onto the floor, and she's walking with it right in front of her. You think that it would be splashing on her shirt, on her legs, or something like that. She would be like, oh, I'm getting wet. Why is this? But she's not. She's just walking forward, and it's just like spilling and spilling and spilling, and it's spilling a lot of booze. So it's like, how much booze is in that cup? Also,
like, and that's expensive. Let's also just talk about the price of that booze being spilled, right? Like,
right.
Come on now. No, I agree with you. I think that one is kind of, and that's done for theatrical, right? Like we're getting the experience of it. But he does seem to have a premonition about everybody, you know, stuff happening, the seatbelt, him being able to rip the seatbelt open so he can get Carter out of the car.
Yep, the reflection of the bus that's not gone by yet in the window,
right.
And
he that when his Carter's girlfriend gets hit.
Yeah, which that one shocked me when I seen that for the first time, because I didn't.
Yeah, it surprised me too.
It's like, holy shit!
Right, you don't really see it coming. This movie's 21 years old. Just to put that out there, and I think it still stands up today. Like, it still is pretty entertaining.
And I have to say, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, please.
One thing I have to say about this, like, out of all the films, I feel the premonitions in this one are probably the best premonitions, because it's very subtle, it's not like floating in weird 3D images like we'll get into with part 4. But
you keep rocking on part 4, man, and I like
there's a
part
reason.
4. It's not as bad as you're making it out to
well,
be.
it's not bad. Like I said, I still have fun with it, but there's just some stuff that I'm just like, oh boy.
You know, it was meant to be a 3D movie, right?
I know.
We watched with 3D glasses,
and it's painfully
right?
obvious.
Anyway, we still got to finish a couple
Yes.
others before we get to our part 4 debate. I think the ending scene is great here, where he sees clearer and clearer. She manages to outsmart Death pretty good with electrical shit, right? Like she manages to kind of she gets in the, like she makes a lot of smart decisions. And he gets there and he says, I'll always be, there was a lot of like, you know, I'll always be with you. I got to do this, you know, and he dies, but comes back. They're able to give him CPR and he's able to be resuscitated and comes back. And they finally get to Paris, Carter, Alex, and Clear. And they kind of have this like moment in the cafe of we're doing this for everyone that couldn't be here, which is very much something I think people would do who survive something like this.
Yeah.
Try to get past their fears, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, you know, Alex is like, what if, you know, we go back to the premonitions, which, you know, is what if we never really got out of the way? What if we were supposed to be here now? What if this was supposed to happen? There's a lot of that ties back to the article. Like, what if? And then we know that Carter gets killed by the sign and we're unsure of Clear and Alex's fate. So I think for premonitions, this movie hit it on the hammer. Survivor guilt, the death scenes were cool. Some of them were more over the top than others. The characters were all well known. I looked up the guy, Carter, and he was in a lot of teeny bopper shows at the time. You had Devon Sawa, you had what's her name? Ali Larder.
Yeah, Ali Larder, yep.
You know, you had a lot of well-known people that were in
Sean
this,
William Scott.
Like Tony Todd. Tony Todd was great. Like,
which, by the way, we need to bring up Tony Todd because my thoughts, because for some reason they don't use him in part 3 and part 4.
Well, they do. They use his voice.
Yes. But they don't bring him in as a character. But like I feel like he is almost like the physical manifestation of death itself.
That's what he's supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah, like I've always felt that. Like it never really was fully explained, but it's kind of like tied in there because he just seems to be there at the right time, knows all this stuff, and I just love that. It's like he's not really the villain, but he kind of is in a way.
Yeah, he just says that he's the cleaner upper of the mess, right? Like he's the one that comes in and cleans it up and kind of is like, Death doesn't like to be cheated. You're right. It was almost like Death was speaking through him.
Yeah.
Right. Which is really good for like the kind of good versus evil premonition kind of stuff. So did you ever think when you saw this movie there was going to be a sequel?
At the time, no. Like I did not expect there to be a sequel, and I guess we can kind of just jump into the sequel.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Got a little personal story to talk about with this one.
Oh, all yes.
Right. Yeah, so you know the story. Mm-hmm. But so Final Destination 2 comes out on January 31st in 2003. After she has a premonition of an accident, Kimberly rushes to save the lives of the people involved. However, one by one, the survivors start dying, and she realizes that her life is also at risk. So before we really get into this, I'll just kind of jump into my little story, because we all know part 2 is the famous expressway highway accident. Mm-hmm. And well, me and my buddy, we were hanging out one night and we decided to drop acid. And we were at his house in his trailer at the trailer park, and he had a neighbor down the street that we were just going to go walk over and visit because we were all fucked up, and like, yeah, why not? It's late at night. Let's go over and visit this guy and, just chill for a couple hours and smoke down. We get over there, and this guy had just finished watching Final Destination Part 2, and he's like, oh my God, I'm so glad you guys came over. He's like, you got to check this shit out. Not knowing we're tripping on acid. He decides to show us every single death in Final Destination 2, starting with the expressway, fast forwards to when everybody gets picked off one by one, and just shows us the death scenes. We don't sit down and watch the whole movie. He just shows us the death scenes. And then he's like, yeah, check this out. And then he puts them in slow motion, like for certain death scenes. So like the little kid that gets crushed by the pane of glass, you watch his body and you see it fold and then explode into a shower gore. I'm tripping on acid, seeing all these images going, what the fuck is going on? And then we finished that up, and for I would say a good 6 months, I could not stop replaying those images in my head because I watched it on acid and seen just those scenes specifically, and I'm going, I need to buy this movie. It's fucked me up. I need to buy this and rewatch it because what the fuck is going on? Like, and to this day, those images are like clear as day in my head. Even before, I didn't even need to watch part 2 for this because I'd watched it like, and everything was still crystal clear. But of course, I had to rewatch it because I wanted to. But yeah, like I just thought that was kind of funny. Like that, just that one night of being fucked up and seeing those images, like left images in my head for the rest of my life. But yeah, this one used to be my all-time favorite of the franchise. Rewatching it, I have a different favorite now, but we'll get to that later.
Okay.
But yeah, I really dig this one because once again, like especially the whole premonition of something's wrong, need to start. Kimberly starts freaking out before she even gets on the expressway and does one of the most what I would call selfless acts ever, which is throw her car sideways onto the overpass, blocking anybody else from getting past her.
Yeah, she was definitely, if you look at all of the ones, she did the most impactful thing to stop the premonition that she saw from happening.
Yeah. Because that premonition, once again, like this premonition was extremely realistic, and hence why we see the meme now of like the log truck driving down the road and everyone on the side of the log truck instead of behind it going, yep, these people have seen Final Destination 2. It's true.
Right. And I think that it was something that could happen and does happen. You know, I've talked about my experience on the show before, getting hit by the 2x4 in my car when I was driving on the freeway / highway and having glass shatter all over me. And if it wasn't for wearing sunglasses, and to this day, I have yet to understand how I kept that car in control at 110 kilometers, 20 kilometers, or whatever that is in miles, 80, 85 miles an hour, and not cause a pileup to this day.
Yeah, I am very impressed by that.
I don't know how I did that because I think I was just in shock, and maybe I thought I didn't want to make things worse. I don't know. I was able to logic it out pretty quickly, I guess. But yeah, it does happen. And I think her making that move shows, you know, she was probably one of the few characters that's had a premonition and really was able to do something impactful to stop it.
Yes.
And with strangers, all complete strangers. Like, and this is where we'll get into more of a debate about the fourth one. They had no interaction with each other until they went to the police station.
Okay, yep.
The only interaction they had with each other was the cop and Kimberly.
Yes, that is very true. Yeah.
And what I thought was interesting about the second one is they reversed the order. Kimberly and her friends were supposed to die last. And she gets out of the car. She's talking to the cop. Her friends get killed. She lives. So it starts working backwards.
Which, by the way, that scene is just heartbreaking.
It is. And I didn't see that coming. You really think that these kids, because you get, and I'll give the writers credit, you think that these are going to be our main characters.
Yeah.
Right? Because of what happened in the first film. And this film takes it in a whole other direction. And the interesting thing on Kimberly's alarm clock at the beginning, or is it an alarm clock or VCR clock? It switches to like 180.
Yes.
Right. So, or VCR. So when she's watching the thing about the year anniversary of Flight 180.
Yep.
So this does a good job of tying into that.
Yep, and it also, like, when they're on the expressway, she looks over and sees on the expressway sign construction on I-180 or whatever. And
yeah,
like there is a lot of references to Flight 180 throughout all of this, which just is a perfect tie-in to the first film.
Right. And I don't know why they didn't bring Devon Sawa back. Maybe he didn't want to come back. They felt that Ellie Larder would be a better character to come back. Maybe she was the one they could get. Who knows?
Right.
But I do find it interesting that they all go back to the police station. And like, you know, they're all kind of like, the cop has been the one that has done some research on this, and he's like, yeah, this is what happened to all these people, and like the one dude's like, this is fucking bullshit, like this isn't a thing, and they all leave, they all peace. And when she has these premonitions, she doesn't know who these people are. Yeah. Like she has no idea. Like the guy that won the lottery, there's no way she could have fucking prevented what happened to him.
Right. Well, that's the one thing on this one too. Like with her premonitions, the clues are just so vague. Like, like that because she just in this one, she gets images like that. Just she almost has like these weird like flashbacks, images playing in her mind. It's not like little clues like in the like out in the world like Devon Sawa's character scene. It's just like these just flash in her head, and like they are just so vague. Like it's like for movie's sake, obviously she's able to put some of them together, but like every one of them, like she's either wrong or like goes to the wrong person or something happens, like, and it doesn't save anybody because the images are just so vague to her.
And I think it's different from the first one where it was all people that Alex had access to or knew. He knew in some shape or form. She doesn't know who any of these fucking people are. Like, they basically met at the police station and then they fucking pieced, right? So I think that him dying, the lottery winner dying first, or
Oh my God.
that's a great scene. Like, and the chicks calling him and stuff. Like, it's really well done. And what gets him, like, she sees eye or something like that. Oh no, you see eye on the fridge.
Yes.
Right. That we all have small little premonitions, which Ali Larter's character talks about later. There's signs that we can all see that something is amiss, right? And that article talked about that as having that feeling, or we talked about that. Today's not a good idea for me to go do this. Today's, I'm not feeling right about doing this right now. I don't think it's a good idea for me to go do this thing. Right. And this movie really plays on that.
Yeah. And I wanted to bring up the lottery winner because for one, he gets while they're at the police station, they bring up how he's lucky. Like, he was lucky he won the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
And then this woman saved his life on this expressway that would have killed him shortly after he got his money.
Yep.
And then you see all this shit happening to him. Like, once again, this one goes over the top with, like, his, especially kind of like the teachers, where it's just like one thing after another after another.
Yeah.
But I think in this one, it was just playing off the whole, this guy just keeps getting lucky. Like,
yeah,
because, the whole
yeah, I think
microwave.
You're right. The whole luck premonition, like the microwave, like, he manages to get out of the apartment. This guy, against all odds, manages to get out of this fucking apartment before
after like so many different things happened to stop him.
Yeah, like, it was like he was outsmarting death, and then he didn't. Right.
Yep. And I really like that with this character because like it obviously, and it paid I just liked it because it was like, this guy is obviously a nasty ass slob because his apartment was disgusting. And because of that, causes a lot of the issues in that apartment that almost kill him, because he like accidentally throws something and catches his trash on fire. Something falls in his possibly rotten rice that he's getting ready to throw in the microwave.
Oh man, that stuff was fucking gross, right?
Yeah.
But, no, you're right. And I think that, and then she goes back to Clear, and Clear's like, fuck you, I don't want anything to do with you. And I think
which I don't blame her.
relevant of how a survivor would feel and how, like, standoffish she is. And they explain what happened with Alex and stuff. I do like how the cop does believe her, and they kind of work together to establish what's going to happen. She knows that something's going to happen to Tim, and they're able to kind of track her and him down. I forget how they track down the mother and the son.
Yeah,
they use the cop. Right, the cop's able to do it.
Yeah, because the cop is like the key to this movie to finding the people, because he has access to a lot of the
information,
stuff.
Right?
Yeah, so I forget exactly how they were able to figure out that Tim was at a dentist appointment and something about pigeons were going to be the cause of the death.
Right.
And yeah, once again, like, this one definitely goes over the top with like Death trying multiple times to kill him and force them into a spot where it actually wants them to be.
Yeah, the dentist scene is great. A lot of people have phobias about going to the dentist anyway, and then that fish thing drops into his mouth. And then the pigeons, she sees pigeons, and the pigeons, the glass falls on him, which is a great scene.
Yeah, like, it's a really, really good scene for me, and oh my.
It's a very squish scene, and the mother's reaction is very legit. And of course, the cop, we're understanding that he gets together all these people and is like, hey, this and this has happened. They all meet at his apartment. The kayak falls at one point, and Ali Larter's like, I should have seen that coming. Like, there's a lot of discussion about these little signs that lead up to it. And I think that ties into the premonition stuff from the article that we talked about. And I think they did a good job for a group of people not knowing each other, coming together for a common goal, and then getting connected through traumatic things that happen. So even that one guy who doesn't believe them, the professor, goes to leave with the Nora, Tim's mom, and then like a guy with hooks, and like the fucking claw things that guy's holding, and she gets stuck in the elevator and dies. Like, it's and that causes them all to want to believe in each other now, right? And they all kind of like stick together for the rest of it until they all get knocked off slowly.
Right. During that scene too, like that's when you can when you learn that Kimberly is like, everybody, if they are open to it, can have these premonitions.
Well, that's what Clear says. Yeah, Clear says that. Okay. Yeah, Clear says that. Yeah.
And then the druggy party dude like sees the hooks and everything in the closet, and that's how they're like,
that's how he puts it together. That's right. And I think it's interesting because not all of them have premonitions where you see coming. Like when the woman's in the car wreck, the one with the dark hair.
Oh yeah.
And the jaws of life are trying to get her out, and it blows up the airbag, which puts her head through the pipe. That there was no premonitions to that. It was almost like death, death, death. Like you see the one guy get hit from the barbed wire that goes flying.
There was no premonition for him.
No
either.
premonition for that. No premonition for her. The one gentleman has his lungs punctured and ends up in the hospital. Who I guess he died later on, which is why he just got injured and got sent to the hospital.
Yeah, because he explodes later.
He explodes later, in the explosion. So there were some things where premonitions weren't as like there was like bang bang death death death. Okay, a little bit more plot development. There's this woman who we think is going to have new life, can stop death. So if this woman wasn't supposed to live and has the baby, then it completely changes death design, death plan, the idea of like divine intervention. And then they find out she was never meant to die in the crash anyway, right?
Yep.
Sorry.
So I was saying, like, during that car accident too, I meant to bring up too, this is where they tie it all back to the first one, where the cop was had gotten distracted and almost died, but ended up getting called to the train accident in the first movie.
Right.
And like each person was connected to one of the accidents in the first film.
Yes.
Where they would have died if something didn't prevent that from happening. So it's almost like death had missed him the first time, came back from a second time, missed him again, and now he's trying to get him one by one.
And I think what was smart about this sequel is it was a true sequel. You definitely had to see the first movie to get the second movie to the full extent of what the movie was about.
Yeah, because you could watch this as a one-off, but like you wouldn't get a lot of the references.
You wouldn't, right? So it was very well done for that. It was very impressive that they did that. But we see a similar of like Kimberly having these premonitions, and they're kind of always like 2 seconds too late. She has them and like, oh no, stop, and like something happens, right?
Yep.
And then when she attempts to, I guess, kill herself basically. And she gets brought back, then we have the ending scene where like her and the cop go to this family's house, which is such a weird ending. Like, I don't know who wrote this ending that they're all going to show up at this family that they met briefly when they ran onto their lawn and had a barbecue. But
I'll say, because I think they invited him over because they saw, because the one of them saved the kid's life from the
but the one that saved the kid's life was dead,
right? So I think they just said, oh yeah, just a group. Like, it still doesn't make any sense, but like I think that's the only connection to why they were invited to that cookout or barbecue. Sorry.
Yeah, whatever. For Michigan Anders, they were all like barbecue, and then the kid dies because propane blows up. And obviously Kimberly didn't see that coming. There was no premonition for that. Nope. They just realized in the order that the kid was supposed to die, got saved by the stoner. So like this kind of follows the same formula as the first movie, but also changes it up a little bit, but makes a lot more references to the first movie, where moving forward, the formula is followed very similar for 3, 4, and 5, I think.
Yeah, well, the formula changes a bit with part 5, like just with something that is brought up in the storyline.
Oh, yeah. But there's still that. Well, not really, because it's the idea of we'll get to it. We'll get to. So then this one, it was new life, and it changes the design. If someone was supposed to die, but they bring a new life into it, it changes death designs. It changes the future, and people can all live. But enjoyable movie. I really like Final Destination 1 and 2 together. I think they're a very good pairing.
Yeah, well, and I think it's a great trilogy with the next one like coming up, because I also really like part 3.
Absolutely, but they kind of stopped connecting to each other as strongly. Besides, Flight 180 being mentioned in every single film. Right. But let's get to 3.
All right. So, Final Destination 3 was released February 10th, 2006. Wendy saves her friends' lives when she has a premonition that the roller coaster they are about to get on will crash. However, each person in the group starts to die in horrifying ways. And this one, also kind of like part 2 for me, hit on that fear of roller coasters, because I love roller coasters, but I also have an absolute fear of heights. So like there's certain ones that I just won't get on because my chicken shit ass just too scared to do it. Unless I get convinced into doing it, I won't ever do it. And this just kind of established my fears, because this one also felt pretty realistic with how it all happened. Obviously, like chain of events that caused this, we'll see. But all in all, though, I really like this one, especially because we have Mary Elizabeth Winstead as I believe might be her first film debut as Wendy, and I thought she did a great job in this. But this one also has a lot of recognizable actors in it, because one of the other characters in this is also the boyfriend in Ginger Snaps.
Yeah.
And he's one of my favorite characters in this movie. But this one, she saves people from certain death just from this horrific roller coaster accident. And this one is where it gets kind of a little more CGI-ish.
Yeah.
You can see a lot more, which, doesn't bother me nearly as bad anymore. But yeah, like the deaths in this one are pretty interesting. Like, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to like the roller coaster stuff first.
The roller coaster is my favorite death in the entire series.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Nice.
absolutely my favorite. I think that it capitalized on everybody's fear of going on a roller coaster and what could happen. It was filmed at Playland in Vancouver. So that's a real roller coaster. The actual name of the roller coaster is the Corkscrew. For any of our people on the West Coast that maybe want to one day ride the same roller coaster that was used in Final Destination, it is still in operation. And they just obviously did it up to make it like the Devil's Heath or whatever it's called, or whatever.
Make it even more foreboding.
Yeah, right. Make it all more creepy. Devil's Flight. That's what it's called.
Yeah,
Devil's Flight.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's her freak out is something that I've seen at amusement parks. And I've seen people freak out, hyperventilate, get off rides, and sometimes they don't let you off the ride. But in this case, she was making such a fucking mess that they let her off. And they would just let off the back carts. They would be like, too bad you guys have to get off. Maybe not everybody, but if like they would have to, when you raise it, you raise all the bars in that one cart. Like that's actually how the mechanics works.
Right.
So I could see people getting off if this one person was freaking out. I thought that was really clever. And of course, no one believes her. The ride happens. And what I felt I did not like about this one, where I found the first one was better. It was like everyone besides Wendy and her boyfriend were like, oh, well, our friends died. Like, no, move on. Like they were all high school seniors that were supposed to be at this thing. And everyone acted like it was no big fucking deal. Like 3 weeks later, we're not even at graduation yet. This was supposed to be like their graduation carnival. So, I'm assuming it's like a couple of weeks, maybe a month later, because the July 4th celebration happens.
Mm-hmm.
They're all like chilling.
Yeah, like and one thing I had an issue with, like kind of going back a little bit, was when when Wendy's freaking out and they let her off the thing, like the boyfriend is all the way up front and he's like, dude, let me off, that's my girlfriend freaking out, and they wouldn't even let him off, and I'm going, okay, come on. Like
I believe that he wouldn't be let off though.
I was like I mean I believe it too, but at the same time I'm just like, oh god, what fucking assholes. I was kind of pissed they wouldn't let him off.
Right, but I think that there's a theme park out here that I go to frequently enough, and it has some big coasters and stuff, and people freak out like that. Like they get scared. I know I want to get scared too and get off some fucking rides. But like I could see them being like, too bad. Like you'll be done in fucking 3 minutes. Like they didn't think what was going to happen was going to happen. Right. And I find this scene very, very well done with the CGI for the coaster. I think they used enough personally for like 2006. I think it's well done. Yeah,
like I mean, you can you notice there's CGI, but it's not like, oh, this is glaring and painful and like.
Well,
like
and how's
awful.
he going to do it, right? Like in a scene like that, there's no other way.
There's no way. You have to do.
You have to actually collapse, right?
Yeah, you have to do it this way.
Right. So, I think now in this case, Wendy does go back to having the premonitions with the help of the camera. And they tie in Abraham, Lincoln's death with, is it Lincoln, right?
Yep, Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln. I almost said Ram. I was like,
Ram Man.
Ram Man. I'm like, no, Ram Man's still alive and well. No.
Oh, no, we're having a premonition right now.
God, Ram Man. No. Don't go on any roller coasters, Ram Man. Don't do it. But so they have the picture with like the line across his head where he got shot, and then the reflection of the plane in the World Trade Center towers. And then she's looking at the pictures, and it's showing like the fire for where the Ashleys who get burned to death, which is a great scene. Those young ladies play a very ditzy, like, oh my God, girls, really well. Like
I loved their like when they see Wendy walking in the rain and they're going, oh, we should totally like ask her to join us, because that's like so nice of us to do. Right? I just love that. Like they totally played those types of girls like perfectly.
But they weren't complete dicks, right?
No,
like,
they were just ditzy.
Ditzy and like kind of self-absorbed, and props to them for doing the topless scenes that were required for this film.
Yeah.
And I thought they're like everything was a perfect set of events. And when she calls them and she says, sorry, I was too late.
Yes.
Like what a good line. and she kind of puts it together after they die what the pictures meant, right? So she had that premonition about the ride before, and then she starts to put together that the pictures are meaning something. The Kevin has already put in her mind that about the 180 and the survivors and the subsequent death afterwards. It's a really good setup. And then that one dude, Frankie, they can't figure out how to find him, and then they end up being in the drive-through line behind him.
The freaking creeper.
Right? And he ends up getting, what is it, like, what goes through his head?
The engine block goes flying through his head, and like fucking
right?
the fan chops him in half. Which I got to bring this up. I don't know if you ever watched the DVD, but the DVD has almost like a choose your own adventure feature on it, to where when certain decisions need to be made, you can click, does the character do this or not? And they give you a different scene depending on what happens. So like there was one with Frankie where he actually survives the movie. Like,
oh really?
Like he doesn't show back up in the movie after this, but like there was an option that you could choose, and if you chose the right option, like the truck had an accident, but Frankie got out of it, and then you just never seen him the rest of the movie. But yeah, then like, or the other option happens and the fan flies through and chops his head in pieces. But yeah, there was like these weird like choose your own adventure options on part 3 that made it very fun and interactive. Like on the DVD.
And that kind of allows you to do the premonition thing yourself, right?
Yeah.
And control of destiny, which is really what all these movies are seeking for, is control of your destiny and that fear that you don't have control of what's going to happen. I do love how they have Tony Todd doing the operation voice for the ride in the subway.
Yes.
On this film.
And what was the bodybuilder guy's name? The one that works out in the gym? Because like I really liked his scene.
I think his name was Lewis.
Yes, Lewis.
Yeah.
Because he was the one that's just like, fuck you, I don't believe any of this bullshit. You know, you have at least one of those in each one of the movies.
Always, right? And he's like working out in this gym, and he avoids death once. And he's like, well, I guess it's not that my time's dying. This happens in the later films. This happens in the third one, and also in the fourth one a couple of times. And then his head gets squished by the weights.
Which he didn't like. That was just hilarious. Like, I'm not afraid of death. I defeated death.
And this is the first one where there's no real police intervention, though there isn't, like the cops in the second one throughout the entire thing. So I guess we kind of just like, well, the cops there. Yeah. So, but there's no official police intervention in that one, nor is there really in this one. Like they watch this guy get squished by a fucking weight. We don't see them get questioned at all of why were you here? Why were you telling him something was going to happen? And then something happens and they like get in their car and they're like, wow, that was really tough. Do you want to go get some snacks? Like,
right. Like there is one time where the police are involved, but they're like not actual characters on the screen. Because I don't remember.
Yeah, like in the accident at the drive-through, they're there.
Yes, yeah, because they ended up because the guy that's with her, he's just like, oh, that was 10 hours of interrogation. I'm glad that's over with or whatever.
Oh, but that was at the end of it. That was after someone else's death.
Yeah, I was trying to remember whose death that was because I couldn't remember the death.
I believe that was after when they went to visit them at work. So I think finally what has happened is they go to visit that couple at work, and they're trying to convince that gothy couple that shit's going to go down.
Yeah, and that's my favorite character, the gothy guy.
Right? Ian McKinley.
Yes.
And then who's played by Chris LeMaitre, who was in, a couple of different movies.
Yep, he was in Ginger Snaps, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes, he was he was Sam in Ginger Snaps. So yeah, like it's yeah, by that point they get questioned because they've gone for these premonitions and she's trying to like warn everybody. Like she finds, and that's what makes more sense, that she knows who these people are. She knows that, Lewis likes to work out and he's going to be training. She knows that these two people, this couple works at this hardware store. So that I did like, that the premonitions were kind of making more sense because she could go connect with them and find out where they were.
And it was a unique idea with the pictures, like using them to kind of like, because she still didn't know what exactly was going to happen or where it was going to happen. And most time, like just like a lot of these movies, she figures out the premonition way too late and pieces it together right after it already happens. Sometimes she catches it in advance, but like in this one, she catches that it's like while they're in the warehouse, she catches what the premonition is, but it's still too late because it's already in motion at the point.
Better than Kimberly in the second one that was like, oh my God, you're going to die. And like 2 seconds later, it happens.
Right.
Like, I feel like there was a little bit more of a lead up time here. The most lead up time was in the first one, I found, right? It seemed like Alex had the strongest sense, I guess you could say. And it kind of just varied. And the fourth one, actually, the one character or the main character there had a pretty strong sense of things and was able to avoid a couple of situations. But so they saved Ian. And then still like my favorite is like Kevin's like shit's going down, but I'm gonna go work security guard at July 4th fireworks.
Right, like this seems like a good idea.
Like it's just so fucking fitting. But and that whole scene, she finds out that her sister was on, she has all these pictures from the yearbook and that she was on the yearbook committee, and she sees that her sister was next, and that whole series of events that are happening, right? So they have she has not really the premonitions anymore. She just looks at the pictures, which I think is different, right? She's not visioning anything anymore. She's looking at the pictures and putting the information of the pictures together, which is different from Kimberly or Alex from the first two.
Yes. Like, yeah, because she's not getting no crazy images in her head or anything like that. It's all, which I think part 1 and part 3, I like the way the premonitions are done.
Yeah.
Because part 1's subtle and part 3 is just something different that's not like something just weird flashing in their heads.
Well, you could argue they're not premonitions. It's just she had the one premonition and now she's
getting
just putting
hints.
it together, right? Getting hints from the pictures. Anyway, they survive, long story short. And subway scene happens.
Well, we got to bring up the whole McKinley thing.
Okay.
Because I just like that where it's like somehow Ian McKinley ends up being the reason for Wendy's death. Mm-hmm. And so, which kind of in a way ties to part 5.
Yeah.
Like what starts end up happening storyline wise.
Yeah.
But like Ian, he's just, completely distraught by his girlfriend dying and finally believes what's going on with Wendy. So he's like, well, fuck this. I'm going to kill Wendy because if she's dead, then death will be done. Well, death's design will be over with. And well, that doesn't happen. And he gets fucking flattened by that giant metal sign in such a gruesome way. But like, I just like that interaction where they see him and he's just like, oh no, you're not getting away from me, and then once again that line of, oh, I guess it just wasn't my time, when the rockets explode and like they just miss him, and he's like, see, I guess it wasn't my time, and then the sign comes down and crushes him. I like that.
Yeah, I agree. I do like that scene. I just find that whole scene is like death. There's no premonition stuff, right? No. Like she's just like, I think you're going to cause my death and I don't know how, so you just need to stay away from me.
Yeah.
Right. There's none like where in other ones it was like, this is probably what's going to happen, so you need to stay away from me.
Right.
And then she has her final premonition on the subway, which is just I like the writing of that final scene. I think all of it, like her sister comes into town early. Kevin happens to be there checking out a ball game, and they all happen to be on the subway at the same time. And
she ends up hearing the same song being played that she heard throughout the movie, and it's just like, oh shit.
Yeah, there's certain songs in each film that seem to be the trail mark of like something happening. And I think that's really clever. And I do enjoy Tony Todd. It's the end of the line. I really good, like no matter what, death is going to find you, and this is how it's going to happen. So now let's go to the one that Scott keeps throwing shade on. All right, Scotty, bring in the shade.
All right. The Final Destination, also known as Final Destination 4, August 28th, 2009. While watching a car race at a stadium with his friends, Nick has a premonition of a car crash which kills all the audience. However, he manages to save his friends, but how long can he cheat death? All right, so the main issue I have with this one, right, I'm just going to get it out off my chest right now, is just look, it's 3D. Like, it's the most 3D movie that 3D ever created. Like, everything is literally thrown at the screen. It's not the subtle 3D that we later get with, like, I think part 5 might have used 3D and it was a lot more subtle. It wasn't just like, here's a tire flying directly at the screen. Here's these floating images flying right at your face. Like how a lot of the cheesy 3D back in the day was. Like, I mean, if I'm going to knock it, I got to knock part 3 of Friday the 13th because of that too. Because it did the same thing. Oh, here's an eyeball popping right up at the screen. It's just watching it when it's not. I bet it was cool to watch it in 3D. I'll give it that. But watching it without 3D, it's just like, this is so ridiculous. But that is just like my big gripe around the whole film of that. Like, I'll get into little complaints later that you can hate me for later.
You're allowed to have a completely wrong opinion, Scott.
Wow, damn.
I'm just kidding. The Final Destination, clearly this was supposed to be the last one. And I think because of the lacklusterness that is part of this one is the reason why It's not. Now it is currently the highest grossing Final Destination film.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It cost 40 million to make and it made 186 million.
Wow.
They all made huge money.
Oh,
They
I
all
bet.
cost not a lot of money to make comparably to how much money they brought in, which is hence why we have 5 of them.
Yeah.
I think this one though did hurt the prospects of number 5. It'll be interesting to get to number 5 and see how much money it made, because I think this one probably disappointed people.
Yeah. Well,
it wasn't as good as the first 3.
no, and I have to say, the accident in this, which once again, fairly believable. But this one, I feel it just almost felt like it was just part 2 all over again, except, not an expressway, like with the whole major accident, because it's obviously the cars being involved, wrecks happening, causing people's death. The difference being obviously the stadium being like completely in disrepair and old and falling apart, which like with the giant chunks falling, I think that's like the major difference. But I just get this vibe that it just felt too much.
Same director.
Yeah, I know.
So
that's why I was disappointed.
Right. I think that this one, Nick's Premonition, it starts off very quick, right? They're at the racetrack. There's no buildup of them going to the racetrack. We're just at the racetrack. And he has this premonition of what's going to happen, all these things that are happening around him, and he realizes it, panics, and because he already in his head had these interactions with these other people, he's able to get everyone out through things that he does. And there's kind of a small group of them that gather outside, and the one guy's girlfriend gets killed by a flying tire, which I think is pretty funny, because Nick's like, there's going to be an accident, there's accidents all the time, and this chick gets smacked by a tire.
Which I gotta say right now, that is one thing I do like about this one, is how Nick is able to be like, all right, this guy's going to say this right now. That chick's going to put tampons in her kids' ears right now. And that is like a great way to convince people that are not, they're just thinking you're crazy, to get the fuck out of it.
Well, it shows premonitions, right?
Yeah.
Like it shows that he's truly had a premonition. He's predicting things before they happen. And, the rest of the stuff that happens, like the racist guy that goes to George's house to kill him.
The way over the top.
And the song of Why Can't We Be Friends, and the tow truck dragging him. Like it's very interesting. Now, I can't remember what Nick's premonition was for that one.
That one was cross something on fire.
Oh, that was a tow truck.
Yep.
Right. So he does have these visions, which I think is you're alluding to, of the cheesy stuff, because it's all 3D is, right?
Yeah, it's like, well, and it's just weird, like floating image, and it's almost like obviously flying at you because of the 3D, but it just kind of like without the 3D, it's just like, this is just so silly. Like,
yeah.
Of all the premonition, like the way this guy gets the senses of people's deaths, this is probably the silliest of them all. Which is not to take away from it. I just think it's sillier.
I think that's a valid point. I think images would make sense, that you would see images. I think it's how they chose to show the images.
Yes.
That made it silly, right? So, and then I thought the interactions though, like Samantha, the mom, taking her 2 boys to get their hair cut. Like I thought all the little skits of where people died were actually really good. Like I found that
I thought the deaths were good too.
Like I felt bad for the mom. Like there was a couple of characters throughout it, like the mom in the second one and her son, I felt bad for, and I felt bad for the mom here.
Yeah.
Like I felt bad that her kids had to watch her. I got my eye on you, and then like it shoots through, right? And I thought that it was really well done. Nick eventually becomes, he connects this back to, of course, they all go back to Flight 180, and he connects it back to the speed race station, or not speed race station, where they went for the race. He goes back there, and he's trying to kind of like connect all the dots.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought what was really interesting about this is that George tries to kill himself, and he can't.
Yeah, that's the same with the guy in part 2.
Right.
That didn't believe, and he goes upstairs and goes to pull the trigger on himself, and
we forgot
the gun
about
never went off.
Right, which really goes on that, or no, the gun goes off, click, 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 and none of the bullets come out, and there's 6 bullets. It's fully loaded. So the same with this here. George tries multiple ways to kill himself. None of it works, because that's not death's the sign. Death's the sign is now you've skipped death, and now death is going to come for you when it's damn well ready to, and it's going in this specific order. So I do enjoy that part of the premonition piece. I think my other scene that I really enjoy here is the mall scene. I enjoy the buildup where they think that they have managed to beat it because they managed to stop the one girl from dying in the car wash, which was a really good.
It was good, but wow, like that one was crazy. Like to have that, like to drown in your own car, who would have fucking thought?
Right. And I do love where George comes through with the car at the last minute and like pushes the car back. And the douchebag at the fucking pool banging the chick in the tent. And then
oh man.
My God. He played such a douchebag really well. And then like getting his inside sucked out of him. There are situations where that has happened. Like you can get like that's not far off.
No,
right?
but it like of all the people to have that happen to, and it's after he lost his lucky coin.
Yes,
that was the reason he went down there to get to. Like once again, luck being not a factor in this movie. Like, well, luck being a factor to an extent, but eventually death is going to kick your ass.
Right, and then just even the little things like, Nick trying to reach him, but it goes to voicemail or he misses the call. Like it's all death interfering. So that these things are going to happen. And Alex has these premonitions of clear water. So not Alex, I keep messing up their names. Nick. So Nick is driving and he calls him up to stay away from anything water.
Clear rivers.
River.
Which was a nice throwback to the first movie.
That is a nice little throwback, right? So yeah, so there's little cool things that Nick does have a little bit more of a kind of a lead up time for all this stuff that's going to happen. I find that there's like he sees it and then he's able to go warn them. The mechanic guy's death was really brutal too.
Yeah, that one was pretty going like pretty much getting slammed right into the fucking chain link fence and getting pretty much turned into the guy from Resident Evil.
Yeah, right.
Cubed.
So the ending scene at the mall. So they've saved Kimberly's friend, or is it Kimberly or Lori? I'm messing up their names now.
I think it's
Lori.
Yes,
Janet.
Kimberly was.
So they've saved. So Lori and Janet go to the mall to see a movie. They're watching the movie. Lori gets some bad vibes about some shit going on. I love how Janet's like, I'm going to stay and watch this movie. And there's an explosion. And then the explosion happens in the theater.
Yep. This whole third act, I really do enjoy the shit out of.
Yeah. The third act in this one, I think is the most intense. Like it's very intense. And the fire at the mall's intense. What he sees is intense. And it's weird because he knows George is going to get hit. So this all starts off with George getting hit by the ambulance. And when he comes out of the premonition, he's like, George, and then it's like too late.
Yeah.
Right.
Which we do got to tie in the after that, like when they realize, oh yeah, we're done with Death's Design or whatever we saved, they forget about the cowboy that they didn't realize was move. And he was in the hospital just basically on life support. And he ends up getting killed, and that's what kind of restarts it all back up again. And that's when they realize they're fucked because I don't even think they interact with the cowboy because it goes to a scene of him showing him he's alive, and then he's dead.
Well, yeah, they never get there in time, right? Yeah. The flooding happens and all that other shit. So it's really cool. And then how he avoids the fire at the mall. Oh yeah, and then the shit that happens that Death toys with him while he's trying to stop it.
Yes. Like this is where I think Death is like having a little more fun with the characters. Mm-hmm. Like it's not just like because this one is like, okay, you can definitely tell there's something supernatural really going on here. Like some of the other ones have like supernatural, but this one was very heavily played on the supernatural aspect of it, and which I like and don't like at the same time in this movie. But at the same time, like it still made it fun.
And he manages to save himself, Lori, and Janet. And then the coffee scene at the end, right? He goes in, they're like, sees that homeless guy that's like, oh yeah, you saved all those people. And then he's sitting there and we go back to premonitions. We're back at a cafe again. And it's like, what if we were supposed to be here? Like, what if everything has come down to this moment? And that's when the car comes through.
Big old semi truck, and it goes to this like weird, cool X-ray vision of killing the characters.
Showing that, yet again, Death Design is always going to get you. All these movies kind of end the same, except for the second one. You do not know the fate of Kimberly and the cop.
Yep, they are the only two. Yeah, they are literally the only two, because we didn't know the fate of Clear or Alex at the end of part one.
Yeah,
but they tie it up with part two.
Right.
But yeah, so Kimberly and the cop never get brought back up or tied back in, so we have no idea what happens with them.
All right. For every other movie, you know what happens.
Yeah.
You know that they don't make it, right? Spoiler. but I guess you would know since we've talked to all 4 right now, and we just got to get to the last one. So I'm pretty sure this was supposed to be the final destination, but I think because of the 3D, I think people were disappointed, like you were, and I think that's why they came out with the next one.
Which, all right, so the next one is Final Destination 5, which was released August 4th, 2011. 10 years ago. That's crazy. It does not feel like it's been 10 years. But I will say it right now, after rewatching them all, this is my favorite of the entire franchise.
Really?
Yeah, I loved this one. But I'll get into the synopsis real quick. A premonition helps Sam and his colleagues escape a fatal accident. Death, however, is not quite ready to part with its victims and decides to come after them. The reason I like this one a lot more is I think I just like all the characters in this one. Like, they are all unique and not over the top asshole-ish. Like, you don't always have like that one asshole character.
Well, they're not
like,
teenagers.
Yes, they're not teenagers. They're all
This is the first time we're looking at adults being like mid-20s. Yeah. Now, mind you, in the second one, the secondary characters were not were adults. No. But Kimberly was a college student.
Yeah.
You know, in the third and the first and the third, it was high school students, seniors. And then on the fourth one, you get the impression that they're just done college or maybe on their summer break, like they're early 20-year-olds. They're young. These guys, you feel like they're a little more established.
Yeah, well, they're all like in careers, like,
right?
Like this is a huge business trip they're getting ready to go on. Which, what I like about this one, this one seems to focus a lot more on character building before the premonition actually starts.
Yes,
because you get a lot of like character build,
and the acting's probably better.
Yeah,
like the first one and the second one have the best acting, followed by the third, followed by the fourth.
Yes. Yeah, because I was just really impressed by the fact that it takes like almost 20 minutes or so before we even get to the main premonition incident.
Yeah.
And it's just all like character development of introducing each character individually. And once again, these characters all know each other through work or work-related things. The main character, what's his name? Sam, is like doesn't even work with the company, but he is just like a professional cook that was hired on by his friend to pretty much go with them on this business trip to cook. But I like this one because this is also another good fear that people have, and that is fear of suspension.
He did work for the company. He worked there during the day, and he was a chef at night.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was his like day job, and then he was moonlighting as a chef.
Right, because that was his dream job, was to be a chef working in
like a sous chef.
Yeah,
he was a line cook.
Yep,
like at a nice restaurant, but he was
he was working at a very fancy place.
Yeah.
But I like this one a lot, obviously. But like this one once again has that plays on the fear, because suspension bridges, I know a lot of people that are terrified of going over these bridges because it's just over these giant bodies of water. And like, especially like because we have a bridge like that here, and it's the Mackinac Bridge. And when you go over it, like your speeds have to drop and everything depending on if it's like a windy day. Like you can feel the bridge swaying, and like it's kind of nerve-wracking for some people. Like
any bridges can be, for sure. I've always thought of bridges collapsing. We actually had a bridge collapse near me back in the early 1930s.
Oh, really? Oh, boy.
Yeah, it was a driving bridge too, and it collapsed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that'd be terrifying. And
right.
Yeah, this film does, like, it's felt very realistic with how it would happen, like with like the construction being done on there, and like it's just like this one made me like anxious, kind of like 2, 3, and 5 just gave me that like feeling of anxiety during the major accident that's happening.
Absolutely. And the characters are very, like, you do get connected to them, you're right. And when he has the premonition, and it's Dust in the Wind is the song that's playing, and which is like a song about death. All we are is dust in the wind. And he manages, like, he's like, when he sees it, he's like, we need to get off the bus now. And it's interesting, the people who get off the bus and why, right? They're like, what are you doing? And that 10-second head start that a couple of the characters get by just getting off the bus. Like Olivia manages not to panic. She doesn't lose her glasses. Other people are just off, so they're easy to run to get to safety as the bridge starts collapsing.
Yeah,
and the CGI is great. Like, you know, I'm reading on here that the critics praised the CGI in this film compared to the other films. I think the CGI in 3 is fine for when it came out. I think the
Mhm.
CGI in this one shows what could be done in the future. And I can imagine if they make a 6-1,
Yeah.
how well the CGI can be done.
Yeah, and like that is one thing too about this major accident too is this one it's not like every one of them they've been by just mere seconds or minutes from death actually happening, but this one it's like they're actually having to run for their lives because the accident is still happening around them. They weren't at the safety's edge like the other ones. No,
Yeah,
they were
you're
still
right.
in it. And they had, like if they would have not ran or ran fast enough, they would have still not made it.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
still it's just crazy to me that that's how that one happened. It's like, oh shit, get off the bus. Oh, it's happening right now. Go.
Yeah, like he kind of gave them a 10-second head start. That's
Yeah.
basically what happened, right? And of course, the FBI questions him, similar to the first one. That makes sense. Like, how did you know this was going to happen?
Yeah.
And then the research comes back that, the bridge just collapsed due to structural issues. It had nothing to do with him planting a bomb or anything like that, which is what the FBI is wondering if he had something to do with it. I do find that the build up to the deaths here it's a lot quicker, kind of and not. Like Candace dies during her gym practice, and that gym scene is painful to watch. And a very good build up. And I'm just wondering why the equipment wasn't well kept, but
that could be said for almost any one of these movies though.
Right? But he doesn't have, our main character Sam doesn't have a premonition about Candace dying.
I don't think he really has many premonitions of any of them, really. I think he just realizes the order of what's happening once like a couple of them die.
Yeah.
So he starts like just trying to be like near them to protect them.
So but really, this one is more based on the spectacularness of the deaths and things that could, like the gymnast, the spa, the eye surgery. None of it really is him sensing it. It's just the order of where people died in his premonition.
Yep. And I like because this is where like even the asshole character doesn't become the asshole character till later on in the movie, because what happens to his girlfriend Candace? Like, because you're just like, oh, he's just like a dude that's trying to vie for power in the company and try to go places, and he really loves his girlfriend. He's good friends with everybody, and then like what happens to his girlfriend just completely devastates him and destroys him, and like to the point where he just starts drinking heavily and just like starts kind of just losing his temper, and then we find out the whole because Tony Todd reappears after the spa one, which this is the one character where it's like, hey, like I seen this I can't remember his name, the one that goes to the spa, but he's like the douchebag.
Oh, Isaac.
Like I was almost gonna be like, hey, that's Smokeshow in movie form, like when he's on the bus and he's like, oh, talking to this one lady, then he's like, oh, I gotta let you go, and another lady calls, he starts talking to her, like, hey, that's Smokeshow.
Yeah, he was funny. Isaac, that's totally you, Scott. You are just constantly on the phone with bitches. I don't even know how we managed to record this podcast all the time. I have to schedule you in just for this podcast. I said you were busy at a memorial barbecue. No. You're just like, those cheap phone lines that you call on a Friday night where there's this chick that's like, I'm home tonight looking to talk. That's you.
Yep.
That's what you do. You're just available to talk all the time.
Give you my sultry voice. Ooh, yeah.
But I just realized as we're talking, there's no premonitions in this. There's one, and he just keeps going back to it the entire time of like the order, but he doesn't sense that his buddy's going to show up and try to kill him and his girlfriend, or he never would have let him in.
Right, which I love this. This is why I think this one became my favorite, because I just love the story that you can skip out on death's design by having someone else take your place when you should be dying, and then you take over the length of life they have left. And so the character that gets completely destroyed and distraught from Candace's death hears it from Tony Todd when Tony Todd explains that, saying, death has a design, blah, 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 but it can be fooled or basically paid off by giving it another life. So the other guy starts contemplating, like, man, could I kill somebody? And like, if I kill somebody, and then he realizes like that it's actually true, because the one friend of his that's actually like the warehouse
manager
warehouse manager almost gets killed and goes to shove the guy that he's fighting with out of the way, but ends up shoving the guy into the giant hook that's coming down and killing him. So the dude dies in his place instead, and he takes over the length of life that guy has. And I just love the idea of this, and that the fact that one guy's like, yeah, if I murder you now, well, then it will skip over me and I'll live for the rest of my life. Like, I'll live your life.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
And he goes crazy and it like becomes kind of a cat and mouse, like when they go to that restaurant. And like, I love that end scene with them, like when they're fighting in that restaurant, because there's all these ways that death could get them because of, the fryers are boiling, the knives are everywhere.
Yeah, but he turns
spikes.
all that on. It's funny that you like this one so much, and I'm not criticizing, but this has nothing about premonitions. Like, the more I think about it, I'm like, this had nothing on it. There was no like, Sam seeing something and trying to avoid it. It was him basically keep going back, as I said before, to the first premonition and tracking how people were going to die and trying to prevent it. And really what this movie did was it actually allowed number 4 to be the last one. Because in the ending scene, they're on the plane, which you find out is flight 180, and they die, setting off the events of the next 4 films.
Yeah, I love.
So this was almost like a prequel, without being a prequel.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was literally a prequel without telling us it was a prequel until the very end, like reveal. And that's another thing I kind of liked about it, is how it just tied everything up in a nice little bow. And like, yeah, I think the reason I like it without the premonitions is because besides the first one, I just felt, well, the first one and the third one, I just felt the way premonitions were shown were just getting cheesy. So I like that this one decided, you know what, we're just not even going to attempt to show premonitions in this, and let's just make this straightforward. And I like that.
And I think that's what people want, right? Is they want the deaths, they want that. The premonition piece we already got, that you have no control. By the time we get to the 5th one, we're like, well, we know what's going to happen. You're going to have no control. And, something's going to happen at the end when you think you're going to live and you're going to die. And what this one did differently was that it tied it back to the original. So you have a full circle.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if the premonitions just don't, well, no, I guess that wouldn't make sense. But I was like, wonder if the premonitions just didn't happen until part 1. And since this was before part 1, like it just never happened. But no,
I think they they just
I'm reaching at that point.
Never. I think when they made part 1, you got to think this was 11 years apart. They never pictured that these movies were going to make so much money. Like, this one cost $40 million to make, and it made over $157 million in the box office. Right? They overly tripled, almost quadrupled their budget, right? Like, these movies were money makers, and for lots of reasons. I think it comes down to premonition and projecting of death and wanting to know whether you have control over death's a sign. And that's why Final Destination movies are so popular. This is why this concept was so popular. This is why even the shitty one, quote unquote, made the most money in the franchise.
Yeah, like, because even like I said, like, I may not like the part 4 that much, but I still enjoy it and have no problem watching it because it's still fun. Like, it's just some things I have a little complaints about, but still fun. Like, none of these are bad movies. They're all very fun.
Well, and they all pull out, they all come down to that, thing that we talked about in the first article, the idea of wanting to control, predict, know what's going to happen, avoid death at all costs, and not being able to. Yeah. Because none of us can avoid it. Eventually, when your time's up, your time's up. And I think that these movies really capitalized on it really well in the horror genre. We talked very early in our episodes about real life representing horror. This represents a real life fear. Yeah. And they took real fears of bridges collapsing, car accidents, roller coaster accidents, going to one of those needle spas and having all the acupuncture done, car washes. Like, my friend's daughter is terrified of going into a car wash. And I made a joke that, has she seen Final Destination before? Is that why? Like the race car tracks and how fast those cars go. And if something happened and they were to flip off, the plane crashing. In the first one was really, besides the plane crashing, the other ways that they died weren't necessarily fears. You're not afraid of choking in your bathroom because you slip and fall and you hit the wire and it wraps around your neck. Like, I don't think I've ever heard anybody having that fear.
No, that's very specific type of fear, and that it's too
or
specific.
My mug's gonna crack. It was almost like a series of unfortunate events in the first one, and in the second, third, fourth, and fifth, it was playing on people's fears of what are people afraid of happening, making the wrong new gymnastics, like, see what those gymnasts do all the time. I can't believe this didn't happen until now. Or getting, going to the dentist, or having your eye operated on. Like, all these things are fears that people have, like the hands with the hooks in the elevator. Like, it's barbecuing with propane. That can be a dangerous thing too. Like, who isn't worried that something could explode? You have to be careful with propane. Like,
Yep, that's why you have to barbecue with charcoal, people.
that's absolutely why. Because clearly, well, you guys fill up bags with gas, so yeah, probably would be a good idea.
And plus, everything tastes better with charcoal anyways.
I guess so. I have a propane barbecue, so I have no idea that it would taste any different.
It's a huge thing. Like, at least out here, we always talk about that. You need
Is that
charcoal.
the thing for your cookouts?
Yep, you need a charcoal grill and like smoke that food.
Smoke it.
It's the true way to cook on the grill.
Well, this has been a really great discussion about Final Destination. I feel like we found a way to bring in these movies with like following our ethical guidelines of themes. They all happen to be from the same franchise, but that's okay.
I do have one question for you though, since we're at the end of this.
Sure.
How would you rank these?
Personally or objectively?
Personally.
Personally, 3 is my number 1. Then probably 5, then 2, then 4, then 1.
Wow. I did not expect 1 to be at the back.
Yeah. No, that's my personal enjoyment, not which ones I think are the best.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, but that for me it would be 5, 2, 3, 1, 4. Like I just wanted to. I was kind of wondering like where yours were at. Like which one's your favorite? I knew 3 was your all-time favorite of them.
Yeah, if I was to switch it around and say objectively what I think people like, I would say 1, 2, 5, 3, 4.
Yeah, I could see that. Like I can agree with that list.
I think that's objectively, if we ask the average person how they rank them, probably what they would say. I don't know. Maybe we can comment on our page. How do you rank the Final Destination finding?
That's a good idea.
Personally, or how do you think generally horror people, rank them?
Yeah, I would be curious about that. Yeah, let's do that.
So go ahead, people. Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
So Scott's going to lead us to the out of the dark section because for once he actually came up with something.
I did. Something popped in my brain. My brain bubble worked. All right. So for our out of the dark segment, since we're talking about the Final Destination franchise and the rumor of a Final Destination Part 6 coming out, I thought it'd be kind of a neat idea to ask Heather, and like we both come up with our own idea, but how would you what type of big accident would you like to see done for a Final Destination? So the big event scene that happens in the beginning of these films, the first premonition. I will go first just because I don't know if Heather had come up with anything yet, but I had one kind of building up in my head. One that I thought of that would probably make for a horrific yet entertaining style would be being at a rock concert, like some type of heavy metal show or something like that, with thousands of people all around you in this crowded enclosure. And then a fire happens. And of course, like typical Final Destination, certain events tend to happen to keep them from being able to escape. People getting trampled, people getting sliced by wires that might be falling from the rafters, things like explosions from the speakers,
So stuff that's actually happened.
Yeah, I was gonna say kind of like that Great White concert, but portray I was thinking obviously overdo it for Hollywood style.
Yeah, of course.
But that's one I was thinking of. I have a couple other ones, but that was one that I thought that'd be kind of cool to see.
What were your other ones?
The other one is it already has happened in our history as well, but something on a giant cruise ship and the cruise ship sinking.
So how would they avoid that? Not go on the cruise ship?
Yeah, that one, that's the part where I would say, okay, this one might be a bit tough. Either
you would have to get to the lifeboats, they saw in advance that they would have to go to the lifeboats.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they get to the lifeboats
and then
either get to the lifeboats or they see it happening before they get on board. But then obviously the ship would have to go way out there before it actually crashed.
Yeah, it'd be the longest Final Destination.
Right.
You'd be something's gonna happen.
Wait
24 hours later.
Wait for it.
Right?
Hold on. I'm not crazy, people. Hold on. Just hold on.
Are we gonna get our money back for the Carnival cruise?
But yeah, I think the best way would be picturing
COVID-19 on the cruise and
right.
The longest Final Destination movie ever.
But yeah, I think the whole lifeboat thing would probably be the best way to kick that one off.
Nice. So the one I thought of is there's I guess a couple too, but the one I thought of mainly is that you're at a beach and there's people motorboating in the water, and what happens is while someone's water skiing, the boat loses control and the water skier gets knocked down, but the boat flips, hitting another boat, and while the boat's flipping, it hits a bunch of people in the water, and then it hits another boat, and then it explodes and it kills everyone in that vicinity. So you're in the water and you're swimming around, maybe on like a raft or something with your friends, and you're like, we're going to get out of this water now. What? We need to get out of this water now. And like, you're trying to get people to get out of the water, and you just crawl you get everyone out of the water onto the sand, and that's when the boat flips and you have to like jump for cover on the sand as the explosion goes, and like 9 people make it out of the water.
I like that. Like, because
and
that
it
one's
comes
like
back.
also just like very realistic.
Right. So I thought of crowded beaches and what could happen and in that kind of given situation. I think you could do it at like a wave pool. Like the waves are going, and then like something happens and like the water becomes electricity and everyone gets shocked and dies. And you envision it, you're in the middle of the wave pool, and or maybe you're around the wave pool and you're trying to get people out, and you're pulling somebody out of the wave pool as it happens. Like the last, like your friend or something like that, or a boyfriend's pulling a girlfriend out, or a kid. You could even have a kid and you pull the kid out just in time. Yeah.
Wow, I like that too.
I know. I'm just like, I should really be a screenwriter. I'm missing.
You totally should. I know, because there was even one that I had, but I'm going, I don't know if this would be a Final Destination movie if this was the case, but like being on one of those like school trips to the zoo, and like one of the enclosures not being fully closed, and one of the wild animals gets out, and then like but
there would have to be a mass amount of death, right?
I was gonna say, so that to be like a way like other animals break free, and like elephant trampling people.
You're like, guys, they have the animals.
Right, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, it would not feel like a Final Destination film, but I was like, yeah, that would be just like a when animals attack or zombies type movie.
Right? Oh, zombies. Good old zombies. What a fun film that was.
Oh, that movie was so ridiculous, but anyway.
Right.
Zombie giraffes.
This was zombie giraffes. But yeah, I look forward to seeing whatever they come up with Final Destination. I think there's a lot of stuff that could be done that hasn't been done yet.
Like the synopsis they gave like for part 6 is like, it didn't really give much of a synopsis, just said that it deals with first responders. I'm like, I'm curious to see how this plays out.
Well, and especially with the survival guilt that would be into that. And because I guess they're kind of having to start the saga again, right? We've had a complete saga of the Final Destination 5 films. And now if they're going to restart it, they take a real big risk in restarting it, to be honest, because there's not a simple way to do it now. We've done the full loop.
Right.
And, you really are taking a risk anytime you breathe a life into a new genre, or not new genre. If you try to bring a genre back or a film series back, you really do take a risk of what people will say about those films.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
So we see that happening with the soft films now.
Yes, we do. And I look forward to seeing Spiral. I have a feeling I will not see it for a couple months still, but that's okay.
Right.
It can
hopefully
wait for a good
soon.
time. Sometimes you got to wait for the right one, Scott.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to jump head first like me.
And stop being at home running your telephone network for your call, Scott. Are you lonely on a Saturday night? Me too. I just want to talk.
This is Dangerous Smokeshow coming to you ladies in the wee hours of the night.
Hey.
How do I seduce you?
These ladies, Scott, we're an all-inclusive podcast. Anybody can call the Smoke Show.
All right, this is Dangerous Smoke Show coming to you. How are my fellow humans doing tonight? Would you want me to lather up?
This is my Final Destination right now. How do I get off this fucking podcast?
Oh, love it. I got this oil ready for you, babe.
And you have like this like fucking like tube top on, and like you're sitting there like, I just like talk at night. Maybe we'll have stuff in common. I could just totally see you. Oh my goodness. 1-800 Smoke Show. That's what
that works too, actually.
And 1-800 Smoke Show. He keeps the fires going.
I'll ignite the fire in your loins.
Then you'd be like, do you like Dungeons and Dragons? Excuse me, do you like Gremlins? I really like Gremlins. Did you know? Every new podcast people we talk to, I'm so sorry, Matt and Kate. Like, honestly, you can't go 5 seconds on their post without talking about fucking Gremlins.
Hey.
Honestly.
Hey.
Even Amber and Ann, my 2 friends who don't even know you, are like, Scott really likes Gremlins, huh? I'm like, yeah, it's a problem. It's a
not a problem. It's a problem that you are like so upset by this.
Look, Smoke Show. Look, I know that you're a little big on your britches now because of your 1-800 number.
Right.
All the memes that are made of you living in the Playboy mansion, and I'm just some lowly chick from fucking Canada that only likes Canadian films according to Sander Kane. But like, I'm more than that, Scott. I'm more than that.
You are way more than that. You are party pal.
I am pow pow party pal. That's who I am.
Pow,
Not really
pow,
right
pow.
now. I'm like pow pow sleepy powell. Goes to bed early because there's still nothing open. But we should make a lead into our next episode. We'll have a very special guest on it.
Yes, we will. I am so excited to have him on. He is the one that has pretty much made the Smoke Show who he is now.
Thank you, Darren.
Yep.
Thank you.
So Darren Wilson will be joining us, and I cannot wait. He's gonna he's gonna be so smart, and we're just gonna be like, you're right, Darren. Yeah.
Darren, smart. This guy, I'll be sitting there. You can't see me because we're not on video, but I have my teeth over top of my lip, like,
Mhm.
Yeah, Darren is so smart. He knows more than we do. We simple, right? Yeah, that's what we don't even picked our movies yet. We still have to do that. We want to do political horror, and there's so many options. We could do Get Out.
Yeah.
This could be the chance to do Get Out.
Yeah, I was thinking that would be one that we'd do.
What else are you thinking, Scott? Should we do The Purge?
Purge is just too easy.
Oh, it's low hanging fruit. Okay.
Yeah, when it comes to like, we're gonna have to we'll have to think about it more, but like we can do some other ones that have some more deeper social issues. I mean, this is Darren, for crying out loud. We got to bring our A games.
I know. We got to bring the most like random social issue fucking horror movie and be like, all right, Darren, talk about this. He'll talk about like, we'll be like, yeah, that was
right.
good.
Damn it, you're right. You know this shit. No more than me.
Darren will be joining us. We are so excited. And also, please check out our Legion Patreon special that came out of top 5 uncomfortable horror films with Jay Murphy from Kill the Cast. And look forward to our follow-up Legion Patreon special in June that will be recorded about Canadian top horror films as well. We have a lot of stuff coming down the pipe, as well as our Controllers Up, Cards Down podcast
We'll be recording that on Memorial Day, so that'll be out shortly. This episode, then that episode will be out. So it's like, yeah, it'll be double dose of Smoke Show and pow pow power pow.
Or you could call Scott's hotline as well, whatever works for you.
You know, any listener, if you use the code name Friday Nightmares, you get an additional 70% off.
What's 70% off of free, Scott?
You get to see me naked.
Oh boy. You know what? Be careful what you're offering, because you're throwing out these nudes and these sexy talks. Like, you don't know who's listening that's going to take you up on it. Like, you know, so to give you guys an idea right now, Scott is rubbing himself and making kissy faces at the camera. Like, you know, Scott, I hope you have an eventful weekend, and maybe you find a way to share those kissy faces all around with people, consenting people, Scott. Because remember, on Friday Nightmares, we're all about consent,
like I said,
inclusion. We
are having a Memorial Day party of all fully vaccinated people. So you know what I said in my post? All the faces are going to be licked.
Oh man. I have a premonition. That Scott's going to get kicked out of the barbecue. Oh my God, I can see it happening now. Scott, don't bring the cold slaw. Scott, don't bring the cold slaw. Oh my God. Well, thank you if you're still listening and you've stayed with us for this far.
We also apologize.
We regret nothing. If you had a premonition that the show was going to be like this, and I have another premonition that we will meet again to continue this, and that Scott will continue to. I always like adjusting his glasses. I think he's acting out because it's been a long time recorded and he knows he has a fun time this weekend. He has a premonition about having a really good time this weekend. So now he's like, he knows he's going out to the bar tonight. He knows that he's having possibly a movie time tomorrow. And he knows that he's rubbing his nipple right now. We're show releasing this video to everyone. And he knows that he is going for a cookout / barbecue for the rest of the world. So he has all these premonitions on how great this stuff is going to be, and he's just ready to party.
I have big shoes to fill. Like, you're not able to get out and do as much, so I got to do it for you.
Well, somebody has to drink the alcohol and smoke the
do.
weed. It's true. And bang all them people too. And somebody's got to do it. You know what, Scott?
Bang, 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 baby.
So, Scott, what do you have to say to the people?
Oh, shit. Guys, hold on. Stop. The episode's about to end. We can't. Oh, okay. So until next time, unpleasant dreams.
Bye.